time or in delay, God, we pause to give you the honor that you deserve. God, I thank you for Robert Yates, and God, I know that he is healed and with you at this very moment. But God, I pray for his family during their time of grieving. God, your word says that you are near to the brokenhearted, and so God, I pray that for them and also for everyone affected by the tragedy in Las Vegas. God, comfort them with your peace that surpasses all understanding. God, I pray for each and every driver and their team tonight that you would keep them safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Beth Spangler.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Let's hear it one more time for Beth Spangler and her performance of our national anthem.
It's been a season-long fight, and for some drivers, 4 in particular, it will all end tonight. It's all on the line. This is a cut race from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
road beginning to kind of empty out now as the crews are back to their pit stalls. The officials are in place. The drivers now in their vehicles getting strapped in. And we've got one more final piece of business before we go.
Your whole season is on the line. Whether you'd like to admit it or not, it's a cutthroat deal.
The pressure is high. Sometimes guys can handle that pressure and sometimes guys can't.
If you're going to advance to another round, there's not much that a lot of us want to do.
Everybody wants to hear us say we'd wreck our mother for a win.
I'm willing to wreck my grandma in the cut race.
Every point matters so much because that one point could be the point that gets you to the next round.
We don't know how many times we'll get this opportunity, so I'm willing to do anything it takes.
You just do what it takes regardless.
This is the playoffs. You want to make the next round, you better do what you need to do.
NASCAR Xfinity Series Racing on NBCSN from Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's the drive for the Cure 300. Smoke clearing after the pre-race ceremonies. And for more on the stories, we go trackside to Parker Kligerman.
Well, Rick, Brennan Gaughan comes into this elimination race 2 points back from Ryan Reed, the 16 car. The car he tells me he will be watching, but how's he going to beat that 16 car? By getting to the top lane. It's been super slick all weekend, but he told me he will be the first up there and find it. That may be the trick he needs to beat Ryan Reed. He rolls off 16th, Kelly.
Well, Parker, after a very solid race last week at Dover, Michael Annett comes here just 7 points below the cut line. So how will they make those up? Well, as crew chief Jason Stockart told me, it is time for this team to step up their game. He says, we got to go after stage points early. Well, they've got ground to make up, Marty, because they're starting 17th.
Well, Kelly, the driver with the biggest playoff mountain to climb is Jeremy Clements. He's 20 points below the cut line and in a must-win situation tonight. So the one thing they needed this weekend, a little extra practice. But because of 2 issues on the 51 car, they only got 14 laps. But as Jeremy reminded me a moment ago, we pulled off the miracle one time this year, Dave. When we won at Road America, we think we might be able to do it again tonight. Who knows?
Marty, things had been going very well for Blake Koch. In the 6 races leading up to the playoffs, average finish of 10th. But in 2 weeks' time, a 19th and a 17th have him facing elimination tonight. That is, if he doesn't find the old Blake again. Now it's time in a cutoff race to cut on the engines. Let's get him fired up.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome your grand marshals, Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina employees and breast cancer survivors Farrah Palumbo and Catherine Hornbeck.
Drivers, start your engines!
I'm ready. Fire up when you're ready.
And what a sweet sound that is. The engines have fired at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've talked about the drivers that are fighting just to stay in the playoffs. How about the guys that are the favorites for the championship? Guys like Justin Allgaier and William Byron. Junior Motorsports well represented. Elliott Sadler in that mix too.
You're the biggest sponsor this sport has ever
NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Ford. We go further so you can. And by Bank of America. Life better connected.
Car spinning down the front stretch. Christopher Bell, he gets down in the grass.
Trouble in turn 2. Victor Gallagher, a great save, but he will bring out the caution.
Problems for Brandon Jones.
Come on, pick it up.
This will be our 7th caution.
Yeah, caution on the racetrack, guys.
The wall, guys. Caution's out. The 20 was running all over you.
Trouble in turn 3 and 4. Brennan Gaughan, sideways, holds on to it. Michael Annett gets into the wall with the 5 car. Yep. That's going to bring the caution out again. Elliott Sadler now goes sideways. Everybody gets on the brakes. Sadler bounces off the wall. Trouble on turn 2. It's Bubba Wallace.
Yellow's out, get to the bottom.
Our 12th caution of the day.
So much chaos in the spring race here earlier. And now we've switched from a day race to a night race as we take a look at the starting grid up front. This is the series where names are made. Well, the 4 names in the first 2 rows, definitely the future of NASCAR, as all 4 of them will be racing full-time in the Cup Series in 2018.
Yeah, now we get into the drivers that are battling for this championship. They're at the top of the list right there. Justin Allgaier and William Byron, teammates at Junior Motorsports, because some of the favorites to make it to Homestead and battle for a championship, along with their teammate there, Elliott Sadler. Daniel Hemrick got a tall order here. That is crew chief, car chief, and lead engineer.
In row 5, another one fighting in the playoffs, Brennan Poole, the 26-year-old out of Texas, fighting for a spot in the 8 that will advance. Back in row 6, Ryan Reed. We've talked a lot about the battle he's going to be waging against Brendan Gaughan all day long, and that's in row 6.
A driver a lot of people are looking at that could be part of that championship 4 battle in Homestead. Cole Custer in the 00 has had the most points on the mile-and-a-half tracks of these Xfinity drivers. Matt Tift, young driver that did a great job coming from the back last week at Dover, just has to have a solid race tonight and move into the next round. Blake Cook has a lot to make up here tonight. He's got to really make this first and second stage his priority to get as many points as we can. Brendan Gaughan, we know he's determined to get into this round of 8.
Back in row 9, it's Michael Annett, another one of the playoff contenders. He will start 17th. And back in row 12 is Jeremy Clements. He's also the final in the playoffs that's fighting for a spot in the round of 8. We want to welcome in Ryan Reed. We're going to be following him, as well as we're going to be talking with him. Jeff?
Hey, Ryan, it's Burton in the NBCSN booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. Got you loud and clear.
Well, Ryan, you and Brendan Gaughan are locked in a tight battle. 2 points separate you. How do you guys get this done tonight?
We make no mistakes, and we do exactly what this team's capable of, which is running a good, smart, fast race. Really proud. Couldn't ask for a better group of guys to work with. And as far as the playoff battle, I mean, how perfect. A 2-point gap going into our first elimination race. So I know all the fans at home are going to be pumped up and have a lot of fun watching this, and just honored to be a part of it.
Well, the challenge starts right off the bat. All you did was practice during the day. Now you have a night race. How does that going to affect you?
Yeah, we got to really analyze what we got this first stage here and give good feedback. I think that's where it's going to start, is me giving good feedback and making good adjustments, because I don't think that anyone's going to love their car particularly at first. I think everyone's going to have to work on it throughout the night. You know, we all set up for a day race, and obviously we're not in the daytime right now. So, but this Lilly Diabetes Ford Mustang group can get it done, and we'll just make sure that we make no mistakes, that we don't beat ourselves.
Ryan, thank you, buddy. Good luck to you and your team. Have fun.
You guys.
A lot of cameras placed around the racetracks, but also, as you can see with Ryan Reed, we have cameras inside the cars. Take them through us, guys.
Yeah, we just listened to Ryan Reed. He'll be carrying the Lilly Diabetes onboard camera starting in the 6th row in the 11th position. The driver just outside the cut line, who'll be chasing Ryan Reed, Brendan Gaughan, will start in row 8. He has the Chevrolet onboard camera.
And we go with Cole Custer starting in 13th, the Ford Performance camera. And then Eric Jones with the Toyota camera, and he's got the helmet cam also for us tonight. He's starting 3rd. Look at this shot.
What a great perspective that we will have. Running right up front for Eric Jones. We're also going to be up above this racetrack with aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Again, this race was supposed to start really in the middle of the day at 3 o'clock, but it's going to be under the lights. Break down the race for us, will you guys?
Yeah, so when you look at this Charlotte Motor Speedway under the lights, a 1.5 mile racetrack, the race is broken down, in 3 stages. So it starts, it's 200 laps, 300 miles, which can go by relatively quickly here, Jeff, under the lights.
They go by very quickly. And then remember, there's 2 stages, 45 laps each, and the final stage is 100 laps. Fuel wind is 65 laps.
Yeah, that final stage is quite a bit longer. Then you look at the playoff bubble. Tift and Reed currently in, but they'll be chased by Brendan Gaughan, Michael Annett, Blake Cook, and Jeremy Clements, who are currently out. But every position of points are paid after both stages. It's going to be fun to watch the battle to see who moves on out of the round of 12.
We learned last week how important getting points in the stages can be. Everybody who finishes in the top 10 can earn points in each stage, and those points add up quickly, especially if you are below that cut line.
Yeah, we saw Ricky Stenhouse use this to his advantage to move forward in the Cup Series. Who's going to take that gamble and get that done tonight on what I think is a track that has more unknowns than any other track in any other race that we've ever seen?
And DJ, we saw how chaotic the race was in the spring, so guys wanting to make sure they don't make a mistake so that they can be in position to take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, and certainly you want to do that, but you can't be too careful. You have to be careful. You start being too careful, you get run over from behind, and that creates even more issues for you. This is going to be a very exciting and intense first few laps.
So can you be cautious, aggressive? Is that possible?
That's what you have to do. I don't know how you do it, but yeah, you've got to figure out a way to make that happen here very shortly.
Well, and the interesting thing will be, how's the track going to be? Because they haven't been on it all day. The only driver that has been on this track all day was Eric Jones, and he drove the NBC car earlier today for just a couple laps. Coming to the green flag. Up front, Suarez and Blaney. Green flags in the air. We're racing at Charlotte. Ryan Blaney trying to make that outside line work in the 22, and already somebody right up against the wall. William Byron in the 9 on that outside line, falling back just a bit up the racetrack.
Watch these cars in this outside line. Remember, they put the sticky stuff on the racetrack in that outside line, and in Cup practice, it caused a lot of problems. Let's see if it's better today.
Ryan Blaney there just dived down to the inside. He knew he needed to get down. He was being awfully brave there and very patient in staying that outside line, but you want to be on the bottom right now.
He put a lot of trust in Alex Bowman right there, didn't he, DJ? Downs had a choice to make, and he made a decision to lift.
I'm sure Dale Jr. is watching this race, and I'm sure he's cringing right now because Justin Allgaier and William Byron are racing door to door. Both drivers for Junior Motorsports, and they're fighting for position.
Yeah, you got all 3 of them right there. Elliott Sadler right behind them. It would do them well just to say, okay, I'm going to sort this out right now. We've got a lot of racing to do, and this is doing none of us any good.
So right there, Justin Allgaier is able to jump up in front of William Byron. Parker.
Guys, as we watch those 3 Junior Motorsports cars race each other really hard right here, remember, these 3 feel like they're going to be racing each other for the championship Miami. They're some of the favorites, and they've said that as they go through these races right now, it's about working together, improving the team, making sure they all get to Miami, and then the gloves are off. But right there, you saw some intense racing against those teammates, Marty.
Parker, it's funny, before the race, William Byron asked his spotter, Earl Barber, and he said, hey, is the racetrack ready? Earl said, yeah, it's been ready for a little bit. He said, how about that top groove? Does it look ready? He said, if you want to go for it, go for it. So he did those first few early laps, and I would say, Jeff, pretty brave of the young man's part, because everybody was saying you don't want to be in that outside groove. He's moved down now, but he was willing to run that outside groove very early.
Well, one driver, Jeff, that is struggling in that outside lane, that 62 of Brendan Gaughan. We talked about how important this race was for his playoff hopes. Well, he has currently lost 7 positions from the start of the race, and he's been stuck up here. You mentioned that application to the top lane and how it didn't work in Cup practice yesterday. Well, so far in this race, it's not working for Brendan Gaughan either. He's trying to make it work, been stuck up top for the whole race, finally gets to the bottom of the racetrack.
But now that he's on the bottom, he's going to have to learn the pace it takes to get to the bottom. You can see right there, he drove into turn 3 in that black and yellow 62, and he just didn't quite stay on the bottom. The car behind him wasn't able to take advantage of it, but he opened that door just a little bit.
Well, and right
there
away,
he goes again.
Yeah, I was going to say, you look at the penalty, the points. If you look at the playoff leaderboard on the left side of the screen, he's already 13 points out. He came in only 2 points out, Jeff. So as he battles, remember, points are going to be paid in only 40 laps. This stage will come to an end, so he cannot continue to give up positions.
Parker.
Well, guys, we watch that 62 struggle right now and trying to work in that top lane, which he told me he would do. He really wanted to make that top lane work early and be the first one there to get that going. But right now he's struggling with a very tight race car. Just came across the radio and said tight, tight, tight as you see him go up the racetrack, losing that front end.
Lost a spot to Spencer Gallagher in the 23, who was able to get by. And here comes the 33 of Brandon Jones. Jones also is going to pass the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. Again, Brendan Gaughan fighting for his possibility of having a championship hope at season's end. But if he doesn't get out of this race in the top 8 in the playoffs, he's done. Those championship hopes are gone. Early on, we saw the 20 of Eric Jones, and he was a little bit loose on the early start, but what a ride it is that we're able to be right on the visor, this helmet cam for Eric Jones.
Yeah, what a great shot right here. It just gives you an idea of what the driver is going through. You can see him working the steering wheel here, but just look how rough this racetrack is. You really have to be aggressive to make the cars go around here at a high rate of speed. You're talking about over 190 miles per hour down the backstretch into turn 3 here. And look, the straightaways are just rough, so you're bouncing around. This is a rough ride for 300 miles tonight.
Yeah, you can see how rough it is. 3 and 4 is a very rough corner. And this is why it's so hard to pass here at Charlotte, especially at night when there's so much grip on the bottom, is that everybody's going to run right around the bottom. So how are you going to get by that guy in front of you? You're going to have to find a way to get right on his rear bumper and try to take the air off of him and get him loose. Marty.
And Jeff, one thing they've told Eric in the race car is to maybe widen out that exit off of turn 4 as he's following his teammate Daniel Suarez. But remember, in Cup Series practice yesterday, that was the treacherous spot. So, Steve, I don't know if I'd be telling as a crew chief, my driver, hey, widen it out in turn 4, because they all saw those Cup cars who wrecked off of turn 4 yesterday.
Yeah, Marty, I think this early in the race, I've always found it better to kind of let the drivers find the lane, what they need to do. I'll tell you, Jeff, one thing Eric Jones is doing a nice job here is beating Daniel Suarez to the line. So what I mean is, look here on corner entry. He gets to the white line almost before the car in front of him, giving a little air to that left front fender. You see, to the white line, what? A car length or 2 before Daniel Suarez.
And now the challenge is going to be to keep that same pace. You can see that Eric Jones is a little bit quicker, but as the closer he gets to Daniel Suarez, the worse his car drives. It takes the air off the car. It just does not make the same grip. So it's just so much harder. You would think a faster car could just pull up and pass, but it's just not that easy.
Yeah, and this groove may widen out as this race goes on. It probably will, as some other drivers do what Brendan Gaughan would like to see happen, and that's move up a little bit. But that's going to take some time and progression. And I like Eric Jones not giving that wall plenty of room on the exit of the corner right now. He's got a plenty fast race car, and we've got a lot of racing yet to go.
Daniel Suarez, the 25-year-old from Monterrey, Mexico, champion of the Xfinity Series in 2016. Made the move to the Cup Series full-time with Joe Gibbs Racing, and now making a few starts in the Xfinity Series once again, but leading here at Charlotte.
Yeah, and here's where things are going to get a little bit tricky, too, as they come up on some lap cars. That's what's going to put you up there and start seeing, okay, get the right side tires into that PJ1 and see how that's going to stick. How's it going to work? Is there enough left on the track after everything this racetrack's been through today?
You mentioned PJ1. It's a little bit darker of a strip up there. There was a substance, a sticky substance, what was put on the track to try to enable these drivers to have choices. If they would run at the bottom, or they could run up in the sticky substance that was put up there. And a lot of drivers have stayed right on the white line and not even ventured up to see if that substance is sticky at all, because of the rain that has gone on today, as well as the drying of the track, the jet drying and the air tightens. So a lot of people still wondering what will be that third line or that second line up there. Will it work for them? Will it be sticky if they go up there?
And DJ, what's so fascinating about this shot is now the strategy of Eric Jones. What do you do? If you keep doing the same thing over and over, what you're doing is you're hoping that Daniel Suarez makes a mistake and you can capitalize. At some point, Eric Jones is going to have to try to do something different. He's going to have to enter the corner a little bit higher, try to make a bigger arc, or enter the corner even lower and try to pull some air off of Daniel Suarez. But there's a little bit of an open right here. Daniel lost the bottom,
but not enough for Eric to take advantage of it.
Yeah, if I'm driving the 20 car right now, I've seen that the 2 times that I've really had opportunities are down on the exit of turn 2. It's like Suarez tries to get back to the gas so soon, his car washes up the racetrack a little bit. He can't get all the way in the throttle, and you can see the run that Eric Jones has right now.
Yeah, and Eric right now is just saying, hey, I'm here. He's really doesn't have that spot, but he's trying to convince Daniel Suarez that he did. So he tried to just turn a little bit early to kind of psych Daniel Suarez out, but Daniel wasn't buying it. Daniel turned to the bottom, got to the bottom quicker, took that air away from Eric Jones's car.
We can see up in front of the 18, a lapped car coming up. They will have to deal with that. Will that change their line? Suarez being chased by Eric Jones. Now they have to choose. Which line do they run? And the cars will get out of the way for them as they continue to battle for the lead. Dave.
Trouble for the 11 of Blake Cook, one of the drivers below the cutoff line coming in. His car was pretty well balanced, he reported, starting the race, but about 3 laps ago, he called the crew, power steering gone. They said, is it gone? He said, it's in and out. Guys, you know, driving one of these cars without power steering is almost impossible.
Well, the in and out is worse, DJ.
Yeah.
Not having it at all. That is really difficult to deal with.
Absolutely.
Catch all the action of NASCAR on NBC with the NBC Sports app. You can get closer with alternate camera angles, driver stats, and track information. That's anytime, anywhere. Battle for the lead continues. Suarez out front. Eric Jones holding on to the second position, about 0.2 of a second back. Let's go back to Jeff and Steve.
It's been a great battle here, Jeff. The question is, the 20 has tried to do anything and everything to get underneath the 18, but it seems like he's just out of options at the moment.
Well, I think Daniel Suarez has done a really good job. We saw him open up the bottom of the racetrack a few times coming off the corners, but he has since fixed that and actually drove away from Eric just a little bit. Now Eric's trying to do something different. You saw right there, he had his left sides actually below the white line, and that's something he was talking about on the radio. We got a report from Marty Snyder telling us that he was going to start trying that. So, again, driving a race car, Steve, is not just about using your right foot and your hands. It's about using your head and trying to find a way. In two very equal cars, How are you going to pass a guy? And that's what Eric Jones is trying to figure out right now.
Yeah, what I like when we ride on board with the 20 right here is it gives you an idea, kind of his thought process. So he's going to see opportunity as it opens. So right there, you see the 18 kind of paint the white line, have a good exit. So now he knows he's not going to make any ground down the backstretch this time. He's going to look for opportunity here. He sees this lap car, and he knows that the 18 has to go around him. Fortunately for the 18, though, he cleared him easily into the corner. Marty?
And Steve, is frustrating for a driver. Eric said, why is it always like this in traffic? We got to the 18. We can't do anything with him. And as you guys mentioned, he was trying to go lower through 1 and 2, trying everything he could just to get some clean air on the front of that car. But, Jeff, I can't imagine how frustrating it is behind the wheel because Eric truly feels like he's a little bit better than an 18, but he just can't catch him. And he knows that certain spots of the track, he's better than him off turn 4, for example. Can't catch him there either.
Well, the reason it's so frustrating, Marty, is because what are you going to do about it? You know, the second groove hasn't come in yet. How are you going to take away the disadvantage that you have? Once you get close, your car gets worse because now all the air is off of it. So how do you combat that? And you hear the drivers talking about aero tight, aero loose. That's why it's so frustrating.
Well, I think what you need to do, though, is you need to be patient with 173 to go, not push the issue. But for the 62 of Brendan Gaughan, 18 laps to go in this stage couldn't get to the finish soon enough for Brendan Gaughan. Currently 25 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, running 24th. Want to listen in on spotter communication from the 62 team.
You're killing them down the straightaway. Just wait to pick up that throttle. Stay low on exit of 4. It's the only place they're getting under you. All right, nice rhythm here. We'll get you fixed up.
Oh, and into the wall. We've got Smoker right in front of him. Around goes the 78. Angela Ruck behind the wheel of the 78s, and that brings out the first caution. 17 to go in this first stage.
Riding along there, and we heard the communication that they were given to Brendan Gaughan there about some things that he could do, where he was finally starting to pick up some things a little better with a tight race car. Huge break, though. Now they can make some adjustments to that race car, play a little bit of strategy right here, too. Come in and make the adjustment, get some tires, and hopefully Brendan can find his way back towards the front.
DJ, that's what I was just thinking, is what opportunity does this present for someone to gamble after those points at the end of this stage, Jeff? We saw this change the complexion of the Cup race last week completely when it looks at the bubble drivers.
Well, if you're Brendan Gaughan and his team and the way you're running, and Blake Cook and his team, they're having a problem back in 26, you have to view this as an opportunity. But you can see right here, Angela comes into screen and car just comes around on her. A little bit of contact in the wall for sure, some rear damage, not massive contact, but certainly some rear damage.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan going by. I know he wasn't very close, but I'm sure it caught his attention. With everything that's on the line in this race, any smoke in front of him was definitely an attention grabber.
So around goes the 78. That brings out the first caution. Another look as we were riding along with Brendan Gaughan.
Stay down, watch him coming down the bank. Check up, go all the way about him. All good there. All right, good job there.
Strategy comes into play. How many will come to pit road with only 16 to go?
Come on.
Well, I think at this point, Rick, what they're going to have to do is kind of split. Whatever the leaders don't do, if I am, say, Ryan Reed in the 14th position or Tift in the 13th position, I'm going to flip the leaders. So if they stay on the racetrack, what I mean is I'm going to come get my fresh tires and try to pass them before the end of the stage. If the leaders come to pit road, I think at that point following them is not going to give me any sort of an advantage. It's not outside the box. It's not going to give me any points. At that point, I'm going to stay on the racetrack and try to do something different.
And the 11's on pit road early, Dave.
Yeah, they went ahead and took the penalty for that because they need to go underneath and figure out the power steering situation. They went over the wall with power steering belts, which would be one of the easy fixes. Also the level of fluid to see if it is where it should be. So as they go to work here, trying to get Blake back repaired with that power steering and get him back in the race. He'd lost 8 positions, and again, we'll go to the back of the pack for pitting too early.
That's so unfortunate for that 11, Rick, but we're going to talk about the decision these crew chiefs have to make, and the reason why it's such a big deal is, remember Ricky Stenhouse Jr. last week? The points he gained in the first stage of that Cup race ultimately advanced him through. So the decision right now for the 16, the 62, the 5, or the 11 could perhaps be the decision that makes the difference if their playoff hopes continue after tonight.
I think the toughest choice here might be Michael Annett, because you have Brendan Gaughan not running well at all. Do you just try to beat him and hope you have Ryan Reed to have some problems, or do you feel like you still have to gamble? I think that's a really tough call for Annett. Gaughan, Clemens, I don't think they have anything to lose at this point.
Yeah, well, I think Gaughan needs to get to pit road to fix whatever's ailing his race car, because currently in the 24th position. he has to have higher hopes of running closer to the front of that pack.
Yeah, there's only 3 cars behind him on a lead lap also, so even if you come in and didn't put tires on, you're only losing 3 spots to make a change to your car.
With pit road open, a few takers on pit road. Parker?
And one of those is Brennan Gaughan, his team talking about if they came down, they would not take tires, just make a left rear rubber adjustment and some adjustments in the rear. You also see them working the NASCAR duct there, putting a little tape on it, just making a lot of adjustments on this 62. They get it faster, but no tires. Marty?
And you see Jeremy Clements on pit road here. They are struggling with an extremely loose race car. No tires here, just chassis adjustments, trying to get that car tightened up for Jeremy. 14 to go in this stage. Obviously, they got a lot of points to make up, so doing kind of the opposite here of what the leaders do, guys.
And in 13th position, Ryan Reed, I think it's a huge missed opportunity. I think they could have came, got tires, and stole some stage points from his competitors on the playoff cut line.
NASCAR Drive is NASCAR.com's live race day companion, now available on your mobile device. You can select your favorite camera angle or driver with in-car video. You can even watch multiple angles at once. Never miss a lap with NASCAR Drive. Visit NASCAR.com/drive from your PC, tablet, or mobile device. So a few takers when pit road was open under this caution, and they were toward the back of the field. So we'll see if fresher tires will make any difference, and whatever adjustments were made to the 62, who had fallen quite a ways back. Michael Annett still mired back there in 18th. Jeremy Clements is 23rd. And Blake Cook scored a lap down, running 34th right now after coming to pit road to try to figure out what was wrong with the power steering.
Yeah, one big thing is just the lack of tires that they have. They only have 4 sets of tires to work with here tonight for these 300 miles. So that's what factored into these drivers, whether they took tires or not. Brendan Gaughan just opting. He came in, made some adjustments, but left the same tires on.
And you know, DJ, you brought up a great point about Ryan Reed during the break, and you know, I thought he missed an opportunity. Maybe tires would have helped, but you kind of pointed out he would have restarted 22nd.
Yeah.
So the question is, in 12 laps, could he have used those tires? Perhaps not. So perhaps with the 62 struggling, that was the best decision for the 16. We're just going to have to see how these last 12 play out, Rick.
And the field approaches the Geico restart zone. And back under green. Daniel Suarez has chosen the inside line.
trouble.
Restart up the wall. They go and they stay straight. It was 3 wide.
I think that was Sadler and William Byron, wasn't?
Sadler's slow.
I think it was Poole.
Sadler slow in the 1 and trying to get back up to speed. Let's take another look at what happened on the initial restart. Sadler in the 1 way down to the bottom of the track and moved right up the racetrack.
Yeah, just got loose down there, and that's what will happen at this racetrack is you try to get in. You're basically trying to stay in the gas. Once you get to high gear, stay in the gas the whole way. His car looked like it bottomed out maybe, and he went up into Brennan Poole there. Both of them extremely lucky in that case.
I'm not sure when he got loose if he didn't get his leg.
I turned the wheel and he cut straight. What the hell happened? Looks like I had a flat, but I don't.
It almost looked like he got the car on the flat, sort of in the middle of 1 and 2.
Yeah, getting that low, you have to wonder if that got the splitter bottomed out there. Jeff, he was talking about it just went straight. And so as he tried to stay in the gas and hit right there, that the car just went up into the 48.
Yeah, that damage he has now, the car is going to drive terrible.
Well, Rick and Jeff, I thought the 16 was going to be the big benefactor of this wiggle getting into turn 1. He instantly was in the 7th or 8th position, but he can't hold those positions. Currently getting passed by Sam Hornish Jr. in the 12, who had to start deep in the field. A nice drive by Sam Hornish Jr., but Ryan Reed is currently in that 10th spot. And why is that so important? Well, this is going to eliminate him from the top 10 because in 8 laps, that spot was worth 1 point, Rick. That's a point he won't realize when this stage ends.
Parker.
Well, guys, if you watch the 16 struggle, he's been really struggling with the rear grip of that race car. Just does not feel like the rear is in the racetrack. And we know how tough that can be as you see him trying to use that outside lane right now, trying to just get that car in the racetrack a little bit, but really struggling with the rear end and not able to get it in the racetrack and get the grip he needs to be able to go faster.
Well, Parker, it's pretty brave to jump up in that outside lane. We mentioned, that he may miss an opportunity to gain a point, but if you get in that outside lane and it doesn't stick and you get in a wreck, well, you're going to give up a ton of points. So pretty risky trying that outside lane right now.
Yeah, this isn't the time to be brave and try something new right at this point. You got to be smart right at this point. He's outrunning the 62 car, and you get up here, you're taking a chance of not knowing what your car may do in this situation on the entry and trying to carry speed. So a big gamble by Ryan Reed right at this point, I believe.
Right behind him is Brennan Poole, and Brennan was involved in that little incident where Elliott Sadler went up the racetrack. It was Brennan that was on the outside of him. They got into the wall, but it doesn't look like it's done much damage to the 48. He's been able to hold his spot in the 12th position, and Elliott Sadler's fallen all the way back to 20th. Kelly.
Yeah, and Rick, Brennan Poole was quiet on the radio for quite a while following that incident, and now we see a change there for the lead.
And it was close. Eric Jones had a great run on the 18. Suarez bobbles a little bit up high, and Jones is going to try to take that spot away. Now it's a drag race down the front stretch. On the outside, Suarez trying to use that momentum. He runs the higher line. Can he keep it up? Eric Jones is going to slide right up in front of him, and Jones, the new leader at Charlotte.
Well, that was really good by Eric Jones right there, but that's the frustrating part of this racetrack is you don't quite make that get clear there, and then you get side by side for another corner, and that's the most difficult part of this track is going into turns 1 and 3 underneath another car.
We saw the battle for the lead for quite a few laps where Eric Jones couldn't get by Daniel Suarez. This time Suarez was up the racetrack. Eric Jones took advantage of it and into the wall again, the 78.
Hold the brake.
Angela Ruck once again has got into the wall. A lot of damage to the back of the 78 now.
Yeah, here's an issue. I've seen a lot of the lap cars kind of give way to the leaders by running up in that next lane, which is great for the leaders. But there's just not a lot of grip up there, and if your car isn't handling well, it doesn't take long for it to get away from you. Let's see. She doesn't look like she's quite up there. I think that probably had a lot to do with what happened from the first crash whenever she backed it into the wall.
A much harder impact this time.
Angela Ruck, the niece of Derek Cope, who won the Daytona 500. lot of damage to the right rear and rear of that car.
Yeah, and this stage is probably going to end under the caution here, and so I would say they're probably looking at getting there, especially after they had to run through all of this, if indeed they get in that position to be able to come to pit road and trying to stay out and gather some points as some of the, at least the Xfinity regulars will be.
As you mentioned, with just 2 laps to go, more than likely this one won't restart before the end of the stage. And so stage points could be gained by Allgaier, Hemrick, Byron, and Custer. Those are 4 of the drivers that are in the playoffs that are still trying to earn those valuable points. Out front, Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez, who have been giving us a great battle for the lead. Jones finally able to get by Suarez, and with this caution coming out and just 1 lap to go to the end of the stage, we know that they won't restart before they get around the next time. So while we have a moment under this caution, we want to bring in once again gentleman who joined us at Daytona and Bristol, and once again now he's here at Charlotte. One of the greatest sprinters of all time from Trinidad and Tobago, Otto Bolden.
Hey guys, I'm down here with the NBC Toyota, which has had a very eventful day, but in waiting around all day for this race to happen and going through all the rain, having to dry the track, my question is, what happens, what do all the drivers seem to be saying before the race, that nobody knows what's going to happen until they get on the track? So now that we're this far into the race, what do they know and what can they then adjust on these race cars?
Well, I think, Otto, the first thing is they know how their car has driven so far. I expect the track to continue to change as the cars run on it. But unlike the Cup cars, there's not a lot of opportunity from inside the cockpit. They can really only adjust brake bias, which at a track this big, I would expect makes very little to no difference. So the most important thing for a driver like Eric Jones that we see on here, or see right here on the onboard, is communicating, telling your crew chief how the car is driving so they can make those adjustments, because you're guaranteeing you're going to stop here at the end of the stage, put 4 brand new Goodyear tires on, and either wedge, track bar adjustments, maybe some air pressure. So this first pit stop is very, very crucial, because this is really the first chance for all of these contenders to make adjustments.
And I know Otto Bolden, standing next to the Toyota Camry on-track car, would love to jump in there. He's a car fanatic, loves to go fast, but he just has to stand outside and watch there in victory lane. Eric Jones with his 6th stage win, and Eric Jones full-time running in the Cup Series this year. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. And by Polaris Razor. Fuel your freedom. Pit road is open, and here they come, Parker.
Guys, Brennan Gaughan fighting to stay in the playoffs. Will pit out of the 23rd position. They're going to do a rap sheet of changes. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires. They're going to put a rubber in the right rear. They're going to do 2 wedge adjustments in the rear and also put full of Sunoco fuel in the 62 car. Also, you see Ryan Reed ahead of him, the guy he's racing. They did 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, just tight on that car right now, guys. Kelly?
And Michael Annett has a neutral balance car, but he says it's not good over the bumps. They wanted to put a Packer in, but didn't want to take the time to do it now. There's a chassis adjustment for Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel.
Take a look at the race off pit road, and it was definitely like a freeway. Very busy coming off pit road. Movement. Suarez and Blaney both moving up a spot, as well as Byron. But Eric Jones drops all the way back 4 positions. So from the lead, losing 4 positions all the way down to 5th. And now we have the opportunity where we can dial up the 21 and chat with Daniel Hemrick.
Hey, Daniel, NBCSN booth, you with us?
Got you, buddy.
Well, look, I know you guys had a penalty last week, lost your normal crew chief, Danny Stockman, but Randall Burnett stepped right in. You guys are having a good night.
Oh, man, wrong frequency. I thought you were trying to talk to me. Brandon Jones, you got me.
Well, how's your night going, Brandon?
I guess since I'm on here, not too bad. I'm just kind of filling it out so far. We're kind of middle pack right here, so filling out that top groove. I think we may have found something right there at the end of that run, so maybe the PJ1 will start coming in right here. We can make some hay on the top.
Well, Bud, how's that top groove? Did it take a lot of nerve to get up there?
I was timid at first, for sure. I saw the 23 do it towards the end of the stage, and it looked like he held up. It looked like the 2 also was starting to, from my view as well. So I was a little nervous at first, but I think it'll be fine.
Well, man, I'm sorry we dialed up the wrong number, but it sure was fun talking to you. Good luck, bud.
Thanks, guys.
And that was Brandon Jones, who was the driver of the 33. So
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing in the 21. What was he thinking?
They made a lot of switches over there this week.
Yeah. You're watching the Drive for the Cure 300 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll be right back for the restart. as we look at the top 10 finishers in stage 1, only the drivers that are full-time Xfinity Series drivers can receive points. That's why Jones, Suarez, and Blaney don't have any points, either does Bowman or Dillon. But with Justin Allgaier and William Byron both earning the points that they did in the first stage, they now have clinched a spot in the round of 8. So that's good news, because the 7 has a lot of damage to the front of that car. It actually hit what looks like maybe a battery when the 78 went around and parts were coming off. So there's some damage, some significant damage to the splitter and the front end of the 7 of Justin Allgaier. Dave?
Yep, right here, Rick, you see it laying there in the middle of the racetrack. Here comes Justin, and he's just going to slam it with the front end of that car. That's important because of aerodynamics down there, both making a hole but also hitting that splitter, which helps the car at the front. They came down twice, and they put tape on and tried to fix that the best they could. Now, the 11 of Blake Koch, they've decided not to replace the power steering pump. They felt like that would take 20 or 30 laps. They would finish almost last tonight. Rather, they're going to have him strong-arm it out for the night and do what they can, Parker.
And Dave, a quick update on the 1 car of Elliott Sadler. They came down pit road twice to work on the right front damage he incurred when he got into the 48 and a little bit into the outside wall on one of the subsequent restarts. Here we go, guys.
And the field approaching the Geico restart zone. Again, Eric Jones, after winning the stage, has fallen all the way back to 6th after a poor pit stop. Ty Dillon, Suarez come to the green.
As we see him go on this restart, the 20 car, he said he was a little slow getting into his pit, but then as he started to leave, the 51 was coming in, and that cost him some more time, so put him back in 6th on that outside. We'll see how he's able to negotiate this. Four wide
as they go down the backstretch and into turn 3. Sparks flying as still the heat in the tires coming up, the pressure in the tires coming up.
You know, 4 wide's the normal back here at the drag strip, but not out here.
Jockeying for position as they went into turn 3.
You see the 3 car there going backwards. He stayed out. He pitted on. He did not get tires that time, so that's why he's going backwards. He pitted on lap 31.
Cole Custer in the 00, running to the inside of Ty Dillon. Now the Dillon brothers are going to be very close to each other as Cole Custer goes by, or tries to go by, the 3. Austin is just behind him. Marty.
And Rick having another nice run on that 00. Cole Custer has been impressive at the last 2.5 mile racetracks. He's led 90 laps, and when he ran here in May, he had a career best finish of 4th. And DJ, I know this is a young man that's really impressed you, and someone that you think is very sneaky in these Xfinity Series playoffs.
Yeah, he does a great job. You can see that was very patient there too. You know, he is a rookie, but he's well into a season of a rookie, and so I think he's learned a lot, and he's gathered the most points of anyone on the 1.5 miles. So that's why I think you have to seriously look, can this young man be a factor in the championship? And I believe that he can be.
And that's because there's a lot of 1.5 miles to end this season.
Yep.
He has the opportunity to continue to earn points. Cole Custer right now is running in the 8th position. Still up front, Daniel Suarez. Ryan Blaney has moved up to 2nd. William Byron, Eric Jones, and Alex Bowman are the top 5. Mention the successes that we have seen out of Cole Custer. We go back to a 1.5 mile track, Chicagoland, and what a battle he had. Cole Custer fighting against that 42.
Yeah, I've been watching this young man for a lot of the year, but this really impressed me. When you're battling Kyle Larson with a good race car, doing the things that he was doing and able to lead a lot of laps there, that just showed me that he's learned so much about these cars throughout the year, and he knows how to utilize the thing that's probably his best friend about this race car, and that's under the hood Doug Yates horsepower. I was beneficiary of that a lot of my career, and having Robert and Doug Yates build engines for me, and when you have that, there's a lot of things that you can do that'll benefit you on these 1.5 mile tracks.
You mentioned that, by the way. There was a pass for 3rd as Eric Jones took it away from William Byron, but the funeral for Robert Yates yesterday, and I know a lot of people went, and Doug Yates said he wanted to thank everyone for the outpouring of well wishes and the cards, and and all of the messages that they received as a family. They're so appreciative of the supportive community that the NASCAR family is.
Yeah, it's been a week that obviously has been very difficult for a lot of people, and Carolyn and Doug and Richard Yates, Amy, Doug's sister, so that entire family. But they do appreciate everything that's been done. And it was, it was a funeral, but it was a celebration also. It was a wonderful time to be there, and Robert Yates meant so much to so many of us that have been in this NASCAR world.
William Byron has his hands full now as the 42 moves up on the inside of him. That's Alex Bowman in the 42 trying to get by William Byron. Byron trying to utilize that outside line, but it seems as though the car might not be as comfortable up there as he wants it to be.
Not quite yet, but it looks like that's coming in. We saw the 3-car battle the 00 really hard there, so I think that's starting to come in. Something that'll be utilized maybe before this night's over.
But look at how high and out of shape that 9 was. Parker.
And guys, how about Alex Bowman in that 42 car right now? His first start since the Truck Series race back in February at Atlanta, and his first Xfinity start of the season. Remember, he's going to be driving the 88 car in the Cup Series for Hendrick Motorsports next year. He was also the one who was the big benefactor of that 4 wide on the restart on the bottom, gaining almost 4 positions on that restart. Great moves by that young driver.
I think it's very important for Alex Bowman to be driving a race car. Parker just mentioned how long it's been since he's been in a race car. I know he's been in the simulator, but that's not the same. The simulator is about making lap time all by yourself. It has nothing to do with racing ability. So I'm sure the guys at Hendrick Motorsports, they're glad to see that Bowman is making lap time here and able to race after as well as he is after being out of a car for so long.
He was just on the inside of the 9 of William Byron. Those two are going to be teammates next year at Hendrick Motorsports. Listen in to the spotter communication for William Byron.
One, you asked to catch you. He was on the bottom. The 20 car, to pass the leader, he ran the second groove down there in 1 and 2. The 18 could not use the top groove to go past him in 3 and 4, but I had a 3 and a 00 making up time up there also.
Car just got into the wall in turns 1 and 2. It looks like it's the 23. And so Spencer Gallagher was running 12th as he got into the wall. By the way, that was spotter communication.
Keep the fueler back. We'll send 1 mechanic over.
We were listening into the spotter communication of the 9, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Take another look here. Sparks already flying as he was entering turn 1.
Yeah, it looked like he might have run over something and had a right front tire going down there. I believe that's the biggest issue that he's got. You know, there was still debris and a lot of debris from that previous caution.
On the bottom up here, spark it. Be careful. Tires blowing.
Once again, look who was right behind an incident on the racetrack. The 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
He's getting more action than he really bargained for here tonight as he's trying to navigate his way back up through the pack.
And remember, guys, Allegiant Airlines is sponsoring that car. They're doing so much to try to help the families of the victims of the Las Vegas tragedy this past week.
Yeah, actually.
To the garage, guys. To the garage.
And we saw the 62 with the South Point Hotel and Casino. 2 companies, 2 organizations that were helping out those in Las Vegas. And you see Vegas Strong on the hood of Brendan Gaughan. But I know Michael Gaughan, the owner of South Point, opened up his hotel to anyone, any of the family members and people that wanted to come out and support those that have been affected by what took place in Vegas. Kelly.
The 48 of Brennan Poole, you see he's on pit road. Last time they came down, they spent a little extra time to repair some of that damage. Remember, he had contact with the 1 car, eventually got into the wall. You see them changing that right rear and continuing to hammer away. They must have had a little bit of a tire rub on that restart, Dave.
And Kelly, as the 7 car got going, Justin Allgaier knew he had some trouble. 300 on the temperature. Pressure had gone up 5 pounds, and then he reported losing power. So they've got to get cooling to that 7 engine.
And again, working on the front of that car where they hit the battery earlier that came out of the 78 of Angela Ruck. Later tonight, Formula One is live on NBCSN. Lewis Hamilton leads the way. He also won the pole as the final quarter of the F1 season begins at the iconic Figure 8 Suzuka circuit. The Japanese Grand Prix. That race coverage begins at 12:30 a.m. Eastern on NBCSN. And now let's go back to Otto.
Guys, when I spend time at Joe Gibbs Racing, this is the guy who's my coach, John Royer. Tell me about the wait today, expecting that race earlier, not having getting onto the racetrack until this evening.
Yeah, the wait's tough. Sitting around the trailer for 4 or 5 hours like we were today. Try not to eat too much and get carried away with the food. But once you hear the jet dryers, you know you have about 2 hours to go. Get ready, just get your mind right. Come out here, make sure all your tires are prepped, hit on the hub for a little bit, and just get the mind going.
So far, so good. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Rick?
Thanks, Otto. Daniel Suarez and Ryan Blaney making up row 1. Back behind them, Eric Jones has made his way back up into the top 4. He runs 3rd. Alex Bowman is 4th. William Byron and Sam Hornish Jr. making up the 3rd row.
Yeah, see how Blaney navigates this outside on this restart.
Way up the racetrack, the 22 went entering turn 1, but has been able to use that momentum to work to the inside now as he clears the 20 of Eric Jones.
Yeah, looks like some decent grip up there right now, so we're getting where they can run too wide.
Riding along with Eric Jones right on the helmet. That helmet cam with great perspective as he chases after Blaney. And Jones has tried to run the high line now.
Yeah, I think a race driver is going to look for grip wherever he can find that. That's what only thing that you can really do out there is change your line to find grip that's going to make you go faster. If you can drive it further into the corner, see Jones made that big run down the back straightaway and is able to clear Blaney on the exit there. So if they can find a little grip that'll make him go faster through the center, that's going to translate to more speed down the straightaway.
Dave.
Car's been pretty good for Ryan tonight, but it was very loose early, and on that first pit stop, they made an adjustment to try to help him. It's a little better underneath him, but the drive off could be a little bit better, he says, on the last run during the last caution. He had a chance to break it down with crew chief Greg Irwin.
Suarez, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, the top 3. Blaney, what a run he had a week ago at Dover. Ryan Blaney running just a few Xfinity Series races throughout the year. Was able to get the win, and then after he got the win, he saw a fan, a young man hanging out just outside the fence, and what a prize that young man received. Not only the checkered flag, but he also got to go to victory lane and take pictures with Ryan.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things I've seen a driver do. And, you know, making young fans, that's something that young man will remember for the rest of his life. You see right here, Brendan Gaughan, he had worked his way up to about 16th spot, but this restart hasn't really been his friend. You can see he's back here kind of in a hornet's nest and going the wrong direction, trying to get to where he can get back up and utilize that outside a little bit more as we see that coming in, Parker.
You hit the nail on the head there, DJ. That's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to be able to use that outside lane, but he's come across the radio a couple times the last couple laps and talked about how he's scared to go up there. He feels like when he gets up there, he loses too much time right now and that the car is not working for him. And this team has made a ton of adjustments on that 62 car in the short amount of time that we've been in this race and trying to just make it turn better. You see there, as he goes down on the bottom, just loses the front end. They've really struggled with that race car so far.
But he's getting a little bit closer to where he started this race, which was the 16th position, currently running in 17th. Kelly.
Yeah, and how about the work of Sam Hornish Jr., who had to start 31st based on owner's points, has now cracked the top 5. When I talked to him before the race, he was worried that it was going to take him a long time, that it would be difficult to pass, take him a long time to get up to the front. Well, he cracked the top 10 by the end of stage 1, continues to move forward. Remember, this 12 car has won the last 2 Xfinity races here at Charlotte earlier this year with Ryan Blaney behind the wheel of the 12, and last fall it was Joey Logano, but all 3 of those with crew chief Brian Wilson, who's on top of the box today. This is a fast car.
I think what's so impressive about Sam Hornish Jr. is he does not race very much at all. talked a little bit about Alex Bowman and him not being in a race car, but the same goes with Sam Hornish Jr. But every time he sits in one of these Xfinity cars, he gets the thing in the front of the pack.
This is just his 5th race this year, so not very many runs for Sam Hornish Jr. He was able to get the win at Mid-Ohio on the road course, but other than that, he hasn't finished inside the top 30. Running well here as we go NASCAR nonstop. NASCAR Race View gives you live stats, leaderboards, driver and team communications, and more on any device. Get Race View for the entire playoffs for only $9.99 when you visit NASCAR.com/raceview today. Still out front, it's Daniel Suarez, and Eric Jones has closed the gap now and is running second. Ryan Blaney still holding on to third, and the man on the move has been Sam Hornish Jr. as Hornish Jr. was able to get by Bowman for the 4th position. Bowman back to 5th now. Suarez coming into some traffic, and that opens the door up for Eric Jones. Can he take advantage of it? Right on the back bumper.
Well, that was hairy and very close for a minute there. And I saw Jones do something down in turns 1 and 2 as they go back down here this time. We've seen him go in and through the center kind of high, but Jones is staying higher and getting a bigger run. Oh, you can see right there. Just don't know if that grip is there for you every time you see the amount of time that he lost to the 18.
Yeah, the 18 pulling away now. Suarez gapping Eric Jones quite a bit because of that bobble that he had in 1 and 2.
And that's the danger of running that high groove. DJ, you mentioned he was making ground by using it and kept pushing it higher and higher and just got too high and it almost got away from him.
Parker.
Guys, look at that race right there. The 62 of Brennan Gaughan came into this race 2 points behind the 16 of Ryan Reed to make it into the next round of the playoffs, and now he finds himself right on the rear bumper of Ryan Reed. The 62, as we said earlier, has made a ton of adjustments on that car and actually just recently came across the radio and said there's no time like the present to try the top side of the racetrack, and that's how he's made up a little bit of time on that 16 car. Meanwhile, in that 16 car, Ryan Reed is struggling being tight off the corners. He had just recently came across radio about 10 laps earlier as he loses that position to Brennan Gaughan and was told his lap times were a tenth better than Brendan as they race side by side right now, Rick.
Yeah, you can watch the points on the left side of the screen as they run. Every time Brennan Gaughan gets by the 16, they'll switch to 1 point difference. But when Ryan Reed gets back in front, then it's 3 points difference.
Well, he's gotten there. The question is, can he get past him? Catching a guy is one thing, passing him is another. You can see Ryan Reed, when he gets to the top of the racetrack, Brendan Gaughan just cannot hold grip on the bottom of the racetrack. Ryan Reed's not going to give this up easily.
And guys, I just go back to that decision not to pit before the end of stage 1 for the 16. You know, we talked about there was an opportunity there to maybe steal some stage points. They chose not to do it. And now that the 62 has recovered from their handling woes, he has run the 16 down. That was a big opportunity missed by the 16, in my opinion.
DJ, is Ryan Reed racing a very smart race right now because he knows that Brendan Gaughan's more comfortable running the higher line, and so he's taking that?
Yeah, he's taking that right away from him, and that's the problem that Brendan Gaughan is having. He made up some time and ran him down by using that middle groove, and his car being so tight, he just can't get underneath the 16 and carry any speed there. And you can see that being behind this car is making him even tighter right now as he tries to go up and find a little bit more. Barely keeps it out of the wall. There's no grip at all up there right now.
Yeah, and that move right there may cost him 2 spots. So all that work he did to get to Ryan Reed, he may lose in 1 lap.
Yeah, the 33 and 48 both able to get by the 62. And you see now 5 points the difference between those two racing at the cut line, Parker.
And guys, what you just saw happen to Brendan Gaughan is exactly what he's been afraid of running that high lane. He's talked about how it is finicky, how you can only go so high, and if he gets too high, he loses a ton of time. And you saw that there. When he got in that third groove, he did not have the grip at all.
So neither one of these drivers got any stage points in the first stage. Doesn't look like they're going to either one get any in stage 2 right here. So this is going to come down to a battle for the last 110 laps of this race as to can Brendan Gaughan somehow find a way to get in front of the 16 and put a car at least in between the two of them.
It was 2 points entering, now 3. Look at the move up there. The 8 gets into the wall.
Yeah, 2 cars made contact. Lucky no caution right there. They both got by with it.
That was B.J. McLeod in the 8 that looks like he kissed the wall and continued on. And now we see the 33 and the 48s closing the gap on the 16 of Ryan Reed. Under 2 laps to go in stage 2. We're right along with Ryan Reed as he looks back at Brandon Jones. Suarez out front. And he has just 1 more lap in stage 2 before he's able to claim potentially his first stage win of the 2017 season. Eric Jones trying to reel him back in as we ride along with Jones down the backstretch.
Yeah, you can see Jones has gone to the bottom as Suarez is taking that middle or second lane right now. Jones just trying to find something to get some air on the nose of this car where he's not losing the front end, can be a little more aggressive. Whoa, really sideways right there.
Coming out at 4. It's going to be the first stage win for Daniel Suarez. Jones will be second. Great recovery for Sam Hornish Jr. after starting at the back. Third, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman. And it's Hemrick, Byron, Custer, Sadler, and Austin Dillon rounding out the top 10 in stage 2. Sunday night is football night. Travis Kelce and the undefeated Chiefs will be in Houston to face J.J. Watt. Now, Mike Tirico and Dan Patrick, they host Football Night in America tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on NBC. And the crew up on the wall and awaiting the cars to make their way down pit road. So now a very important stop here for these teams. Last time on pit road, Eric Jones lost 4 spots while he was on pit road, and he was able to battle back and get up into the top 2, but it was Suarez that was able to win that second stage.
Yeah, you really like to get any major adjustments out of the way on this pit stop, where that final stop that you're going to have to make, it could just be your quickest stop you could make to get you the best track position.
And here they come onto pit road. We'll start with Parker.
Guys, Brennan Gaughan is going to pit out of 18th place. They've made a lot of adjustments on that 62 car. Do not have as many planned here. Coming across radio and saying way better. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, and adding a little tape for some speed. His rival in the playoffs that he's trying to beat, the 16 of Ryan Reed, is way too tight. You can sense the pressure they were under on the radio as he said he wasn't sure what to do that car. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, Kelly.
Michael Annett now has 11 points to make up on the cut line. He says it takes his car 5 or 6 laps to come in. He also wants the team to go back on an air pressure adjustment to help his exit. He says the front tires aren't working together. 4 tires and fuel in that air pressure adjustment.
Take a look at the race off pit road. William Byron making up 3 spots. And once again, Eric Jones has lost 3 spots. And a little trouble there for the 16 of Ryan Reed. Take another look. And one of the crew members got his foot run over.
Trying to add a little tape there. Couldn't quite get the job done. Don't know if he got that tape on there.
Driver's job when the car is dropped,
Goes down.
needs to take off. Just happens that the crewman was in front of him. As we look at the top 10 for the stage 2, and you see the points that were earned in stage 2, the 21, the 00, and the 1 have now all clinched spots in the round of 8. Parker.
Hey guys, we saw that nasty spill for one of the crewmen of Ryan Reed, and that's Calvin McClurkin. I've caught up with him here. He's the front tire changer for the Ryan Reed. Are you all right? We saw you take a little spill there.
Yeah, I went for a little ride there. The lug nut on the splitter, and I just tripped going for it, so it's all good.
You gonna be all good to continue pitting?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You gonna be all good to continue pitting?
Oh yeah, all good. Just got my shoe a little bit, that's all.
There you go, guys. He's gonna be fine down here.
It's pretty tough.
Absolutely.
You get run over by a car.
Yeah, you see this too many times. Those guys are just unbelievable at the positions they put themselves in sometimes just to get their job done.
Very dangerous. That's why they're required to wear helmets if they go over the wall. And again, a reminder that the cars are going by them at 45 miles an hour on pit road. That's pit road speed. So And some people go a little bit faster than pit road speed, and that would be the 9 of William Byron. That's actually the first speeding penalty for William Byron of 2017. So a mistake, but it's not going to hurt him. William Byron is going to advance into the round of 8 because of the points that he has already earned. So now the drivers that are already locked in to the round of 8, Allgaier, Byron, Hemrick, Custer, and Sadler. So 3 spots remain, and there are 7 drivers still fighting for those 3 spots. Field following behind Daniel Suarez and Sam Hornish Jr. as they make up row 1, coming back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air.
See Hornish really spin the tires there as he tried to get going on that outside.
Yeah, look what that did behind him. The 62 got in front of the 16 with that transaction. The outside line did not get going.
And where they're running right now, it's a dead heat for that 8th spot. Riding along with Brendan Gaughan, and on his outside is the 16 of Ryan Reed. Every position is worth a point, and that's what these drivers are fighting for now, to still have a shot at the championship after this race. Ryan Reed has surged ahead now, and once again he is ahead of Brendan Gaughan at the cut line.
Yeah, it just looks like that these restarts for Brendan Gaughan just aren't his friend right now. He hasn't got the car to where he feels like he can be as aggressive as you need to be, but it looked like that last run his car was a little better on the longer run.
First 2 stages were 45 laps each, and now this final stage, 110 laps, and of that only 101 remain. And Ryan Reed in front of Brennan Poole. Brennan Poole, another one of the championship contenders. Parker.
Guys, ahead of Ryan Reed is the 1-car Yates Sadler in 8th place right now, but he just had an issue under the restart where he ran into the back bumper of a car in front of him, and his temps are going up right now. That 1-car overheating, trying to discuss what they might have to do to remedy that.
And so a little bit of comfort in the fact that Elliott Sadler knows that he's already earned enough points that he'll be able to advance into the round of 8, but doesn't want to have an issue like this when he continues to look for that momentum. He needs to have the momentum as he gets a little bit closer to that championship race in Miami. As once again Ryan Blaney all over the tire tracks of the 18 of Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, as we watch them battle, well, I'll talk about Elliott Sadler. Their team had made a nice recovery from that damage that he had on the right front fender. They were able to repair that, drove back up into the top 10. Those couple of stage points, enough to get him locked in. So all of that was good, but the type of things that you can't have happen. He's going to move through the next round, but they need these things to stop happening. As you said, kind of get in a rhythm, a good rhythm, back to where they were finishing and running inside the top 5.
They're not going to be able to make mistakes when they get into the round of 8 because only 4 after the next 3 races will advance to the championship.
Yeah, we got a replay here, and you can see Sadler on that outside. So we talked about Sam Hornish up there in that 12 car. He really spun the tires trying to get going, and everybody behind, you can't really see what's happening in front of you as a driver. You're looking through the car and can't really see that. All you know is the green flag, and you're supposed to be going, and Elliott got into the back of the 20 car there. It got some damage.
Keep going until I tell you.
You're hearing communication from the 19 team. That's Matt Tift. They had a tire violation when they're on pit road, and now the caution has come out.
Tire, pit lane.
Maybe a huge break there for Matt Tift right then. You know, he's in pretty decent shape as far as.
But I think that's his tire. So
Okay.
his tire, I believe, has brought out the caution.
But it's still a break in that sense that, you know, this was going to be worse under the green flag conditions.
So the crew will have to go out and grab that now that the caution has come out.
Well, the concern is that mistake by the 19 has put them below the cut line. So they're turning into the 62's best friend. You have a car that currently came in 14 above, and this mistake right here, we see they had to pit under green. That's one mistake. But then Kelly, they compound that with another mistake. Those are the things that can eliminate a team from the playoffs.
Yeah, and the reason they came to pit road to begin with is a really bad vibration on the 19 car, so they came in to try to change tires to see if that would remedy it. Then they had the mistake on pit road, and worse yet, Matt Tiff now saying that he still feels a bad vibration behind the wheel of that 19.
And that's the biggest fear of a team like Matt Tiff, who came in 14 above. When we look at the strength of the Xfinity field, DJ, and where this 19 normally runs, you think 14 points should be enough. This is the car that normally ends up just inside the top 10, scores some stage points. They have yet to do that today, and that's going to pay a penalty, because if they have an issue in this final stage, the benefactor is going to be the 62 of Brendan Gaughan, who currently is running in the 13th position.
Yeah, you can see what it did. Now it shows him 3 points to the good. The 19 car, Matt Tiff, still with that vibration. That was a major concern when we went to the shot of the crewman on the pit wall. You could see him examining that wheel, seeing if you could see an evidence of loose lug nuts. Don't know if they got it or not, but they have to hope it was a loose lug nut, not something else big happening.
Well, they're going to have to battle back, because this is what happened to Matt Tiff just last week at Dover. It started with a flat tire in qualifying. What's a flat tire matter? Well, you can't go out. You're going to have to change a tire, and that puts you all the way at the back of the pack for the start of the race, Jeff.
So now you've got to start all the way in the back. A really nice job by Matt Tiff, though. Got very lucky right here, being in the back of this pack. Could have easily been in a wreck. Avoided that contact. No real damage here that hurt him, but nice job of clawing all day long.
And then worked his way back up through the field. He had no idea how many points he needed to advance. That was only the second race of this round. But those points, those decisions might be what get him through. But currently, a lap down all the way out in 30th position with only 96 to go. We've seen long green flag runs here at Charlotte before. If this thing goes long green, DJ, I'm not sure he has the opportunity to gain enough points back if Brendan Gaughan can capitalize and move forward himself.
Okay, here's what I was talking about with a break for him. If indeed he doesn't have the vibration and that caused him a problem, he was going to be well behind those other cars that are a lap down with no chance really of running them down on the racetrack. This gives him an opportunity to restart right there with them, and if he passes enough of those, he gets back in that. Also with the opportunity to get back to the free pass position.
But Brendan Gaughan, Ryan Reed, they need to step up right here. They've got a guy down. They need to go get some spots.
We'll see if anyone responds to this opening. And this spotter coverage provided by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less on the track and on the road. Way up atop the press box here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and how important are they with this battle building between the 16, the 62, and the 19?
Yeah, back there in the middle of everything, a lot going on around these guys.
Yeah, it's always tougher in the back of the pack. You know, it's hard racing in the front, but it's much more difficult when you get toward the middle of the field.
Suarez and Blaney making up row one. Suarez on the inside, Blaney on the outside as they come back to the start-finish line.
They stack up again. The leaders just are bringing the field in very, very slow. It stacked them up, and because of that, we have 3 wide in the second row.
Sam Hornish Jr. in the middle of that 3 wide. Way up high is Eric Jones in the 20.
Blaney for the lead.
What a run by Blaney. He was right on the back quarter panel of the 18. Not able to pull him back, and here comes the 18 of Suarez once again.
How about Alex Bowman? Wouldn't it be great to be out of a race car that long, DJ, and be able to get right back in and be that competitive?
Well, I think that just shows us how much talent this young man has. He's going to be fun to watch.
Wiggle.
Hold on.
Caught it. Alex Bowman up the racetrack.
Clear, 1 back.
And who sneaks through but Sam Hornish Jr.? That's kind of what he's done from the start of the race. Started way back in the 31st position, has worked his way up into the 3rd spot.
Eric Jones saw that opening and has taken advantage of it. He moves to the inside.
With that inside, it's hard to lay the throttle down. All those guys on the outside of you pulling the air off the side of your car. You can see Bowman got back by him. Austin Dillon trying to get by him as well.
Dillon in the 2. Running that high line and making it work. He's able to get by the 20.
You can see how that momentum lost, what it did to the 20 of Eric Jones. Eric saw an opening and he went for it, but in going for it, he actually lost spots. He just did not have enough grip on the bottom side of Bowman.
While all these positions are being jockeyed for up front, you look on the left side of the screen, the 19 of Tift has now moved back up into the top 8, and the 62 has moved below the cut line. Parker.
And guys, the 62 knows exactly who he needs to beat. Although the 9 there, William Byron's running his tail, right ahead of him is the 16 of Ryan Reed. He's just recently come across the radio complaining that he's very much stuck to the bottom of the racetrack. He wants to move around like you see the 9 doing there, but he has not been able to make that 62 car work up there and be able to go and pass that 16.
Here comes William Byron trying to take that spot away. And every time a car gets by the 62 that's on the same lap, that's a point away from that cut line for Brendan Gaughan.
Yeah, and Matt Tift now is in that free pass position, so he's the first car a lap down. He can't make up any more spots right now at this point in time. So these guys are hoping that the caution doesn't come out that would put him back on the lead lap, where then he could make up some more spots. Their opportunity, as Jeff and Steve were pointing out, especially Jeff, the 62 and the 16 got to go past some cars on the lead lap.
And again, the 19 scored.
Roll to the garage.
1 lap down.
Rick, the
Kelly.
7 blew up. Rick, the 7 blew up. That was Justin Allgaier's radio. His day is done.
So the 7, again, we've already mentioned he has enough points. He's going to advance into the round of 8. But Kelly, we're keeping our eye on this 19.
And he's holding on to that final playoff spot for now. Rick, he made yet another trip down to pit lane. The team gave a good look over that 19, checking the suspension, checking the panel bar, trying to make sure everything was intact as it should be. They did not find a loose wheel. They have not gotten to the source of that vibration. They wanted Matt to run a handful of laps here, see if the air temps in the tires helped. It's been quiet so far.
Quiet, focused, and 87 laps, now 86 laps to go.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, DJ, you know, all these cars, we see the 19 going by. While they may be track position on the racetrack, they're not in position in the running order because he's a lap down. So his only hope right now is that the cars come back to him, the 16 and the 62 in positions, or if he gets a yellow, because obviously he has speed, he's passing cars. A yellow, he would get the free pass and he can start to gain more points.
Yeah, what Brendan Gaughan and Ryan Reed want is they want this thing to go green for a long time, and Suarez to put some other cars a lap down to take Tift out of being the first car a lap down, to trap him one lap down.
They about got a caution. Garrett Smithley in the 0 was very loose, was able to catch it. Smithley's running just behind these cars. Still out front though, Daniel Suarez has about a 0.8 of a second lead over Ryan Blaney. Austin Dillon, Sam Hornish Jr. and Alex Bowman are the top 5. Eric Jones running 6. Cole Custer, Elliott Sadler, Brennan Poole and Daniel Hemrick are the top 10.
And how about this run for Austin Dillon? You know, he ran so poorly last week at Dover in the Xfinity car. Just I'm sure they felt terrible about it, but Austin Dillon teamed back up with Nick Harrison. They've won before here, crew chief driver combination. So this combination seems to work. I'm not so sure I'd split it back up.
See, he's kind of using the bottom side of turns 3 and 4 there, and we'll watch him. He's been on the higher side in the middle lane down here in 1 and 2. Seems like he's found some grip right there, and he makes a nice run on the exit of the corner. Gives up a little bit on the entry and in the center, but makes a good run and utilizes the horsepower on the straightaway, able to keep Sam Hornish behind him right now.
Hornish running in that 4th spot behind Austin Dillon. And again, the pressure continues to mount for Brendan Gaughan, and it's really in his hands now because he's on the lead lap. He's running 16th. He has cars in front of him that he can go get. But Brendan Gaughan, before the playoffs even started, said that he cherishes these opportunities. When the pressure is on, he thinks he's his greatest.
You know, I love pressure. To me, that's what if you don't like pressure, then you don't like life. I love feeling that stuff. I mean, whether it's businesses, whether it's college basketball, I love feeling pressure. It makes you feel alive, so I thrive with it.
And again, we've talked about Matt Tifft in the 19 who's coming up here to try to get by the 62. That's not for position because Matt Tifft has scored a lap down, so he's not on the same lap that Brendan Gaughan is on, so this won't affect him. But Brendan Gaughan really needs to get up and go after Ryan Reed. Ryan Reed's just in front of him. That is for position. Ryan Reed running 15th, Brendan Gaughan in 16th.
Yeah, that's all that he can control right now is going up and getting by the 16, and then it's going to take another car to get by to put some separation there for them. If these guys end up tied, the 19's got a tiebreaker over both of these drivers because of the 6th place finish, so that's not going to do them any good. But Brendan's got to figure out a way to find a little bit of speed here.
And a spin on the track. The 20 goes around Eric Jones. He's going to make contact with the inside wall.
Bro, sorry, I'm
Just lost it off turn 2.
Get it back to
And guys, he's been struggling with the race car. In fact, about 5 laps ago, he came on the radio. He said 0 confidence in the back end of the car. It had been extremely free, and they actually had a hole in the nose as well. That's why Eric Jones, who won stage 1 today, Rick, was falling back in the field. He was running 6th when he spun out there.
And the benefactor of this caution, Matt Tifft. He was the first car scored a lap down, running 25th, but he was a lap down, and as DJ, you had mentioned, he wasn't able to gain any points because he couldn't get by anyone without unlapping himself, and now he is going to be on the lead lap.
Yeah, see what happened to Eric Jones. You can see he's up here trying to make that top side work, but just not enough grip there. Got loose on the exit of the corner. So one Joe Gibbs Racing car and driver having some difficulty, but the benefactor is a teammate that is trying to make his way into the round of 8.
You see how Kay just came around on him. He was talked about being loose and, you know, just pushing a little bit too hard, trying to keep speed, trying to keep track position, knowing that if you fall too many spots back, you're not going to have a chance to win the race. So as we ride along, listen.
Yellow's out, back it down here, back it down. Spin is on the bottom, track is clear.
Yeah, the yellow's me, right? That's,
good job, man. Way to work there.
You know, you heard him get in the throttle. He got free, and then he went back to the throttle, and then he got even more free, and it just went around on him.
And so a rough ride for the 20, maybe an even rougher ride for the driver of the 7. He's standing by with Dave.
Well, Rick, the good news for Justin Allgaier is his team and Justin had done a lot of good work that made you clinched in the playoff next round. So that's the good news. The bad news was not a good night for you. What happened out there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think when the 78 got into the fence, the battery came out, and I saw some debris kind of coming across the racetrack and was looking at that and didn't see the battery that was silver kind of blended in with the racetrack. And when I hit it, and I saw the parts go up over the top of the hood, I knew what it was, but really hated for these guys. This Advanced Auto Parts Chevy was really, really good tonight. We had strong runs early there in the first stage, and just felt like we needed that little bit of balance change to keep up with the racetrack. So, like you said, we put in the work the first two. That helps here. Hopefully we can stay in the owner's points championship and be able to go for the next round, but you know, all in all, really proud of these guys. The Hendrick Engine Shop always does a great job, and the Chevy engine was running good. Unfortunately, just they'll only last so long at that temperature and that kind of damage. So just hate it for these guys that our night ended the way that it did.
A lot of upside here, but done for the night. Justin Allgaier. Parker?
Guys, Brennan Gaughan will pit out of 15th place, still fighting a tight race car. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel on that 62 car and a small wedge adjustment in the right rear. Also, who he's fighting there, Ryan Reed is going to do 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, also fighting a tight race car. Both were falling back at the same rate, and neither can make it here to the end. Kelly?
Michael Annett says that the adjustment they made last time helped the nose, but he needs more lateral grip to be more aggressive. They made a little chassis adjustment there, as well as 4 tires fuel and an air pressure adjustment.
Take a look at the race off pit road. Ryan Blaney, that all-important spot, took it away from Suarez. We'll see the restart when we return. Eric Jones coming back out onto the track now after this incident that just took place. He was running second. Car got loose on him when he was up high as we ride along with him. And into the wall he went. Tried to catch it. Got into the inside wall, but that wasn't the only incident that Eric Jones had today. Earlier before the rain, he was out in the NBC Sports Toyota Camry on-track car, and yeah, you may have seen it, but take a look at this. There are steps that were left out on the track. Everybody thought it was Jeff Burton that was driving this car.
This is what happens when you let somebody borrow your car.
Yep. Your dad always told you, I know mine did, don't let your friends drive your cars.
Exactly. They all blame it on me, Dale. Like it was my fault.
That's usually the way it is.
Listen, I might dial the wrong number when I call somebody on the radio, but I didn't hit the stairs.
Everyone was okay. You'll be able to see the entire piece. Actually, Eric Jones talking while that incident took place. Otto.
Hey, Jeff, that never happened when you and I were driving around in that car. But, you know, this is a big weekend for the folks here in Charlotte. They have so many options. There's a Brad Paisley concert going on. If you look over my shoulder, this is actually one of the biggest high-definition TVs in the world. And a lot of the fans who have braved the rain and the elements and waited around for this Xfinity race are enjoying it back here on this magnificent screen.
You got one of those in your house, don't you, Otto?
I wish.
Yes, that is very impressive. And we want to applaud the fans that have been able to stick it out all day and join us here for this race, because it's been a very long day, a tiring day, trying to wait out the rain, the precipitation, and anticipating this race right here. Looking forward to these 300 miles of racing for the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, that rain delayed so long. They showed about 3 movies on the big screen here this afternoon.
And once again, it's Ryan, Blaney, and Suarez making up the front row. Now it's Blaney that's on the inside that will restart this race. Back up through the gears they go, side by side into turn 1. Suarez trying to make that outside line work. Blaney on the inside. And here comes Sam Hornish Jr. in the 12. A good run by Suarez now. Still on the door of the 22 of Blaney. Now Blaney a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, he got a huge push from Sam Hornish going down the front straightaway, and that got him cleared before he got down into turn 1, which was a huge relief. You hate going in there side by side.
And just as you say that, the 48 goes to the inside of the 1.
Yeah, they've already had contact tonight, among other times this year that the two of them have gotten together. So they're locked, at least Elliott Sadler's locked in to that round of 8.
And the 62 again, not taking advantage of the restarts, has fallen back now behind the 16. Again, a great battle for those two cars for that final spot.
Well, and Rick, what makes that battle even more difficult for Brendan Gaughan is now Matt Tifft, as you mentioned, was the free pass recipient under that last yellow. So now he's back on the lead lap, which means that car that we saw driving pretty good, passing cars, it's now gaining positions, which are now gaining points on the racetrack.
And with that, Tifft is currently in 7th, 8 points above the cut line. Brendan Gaughan still right at the cut line just below, but 6 points back, which means 6 positions on the racetrack. He's got a lot of room he's got to make up.
Well, Brendan Gaughan had a really good opportunity. Look at the 4-car Ross Chastain in the outside lane on this restart. Look at the move he makes. Using the very top of the racetrack, made a great move to go around the 16 of Ryan Reed. Well, look at the 62 on the bottom. That really benefited Brendan Gaughan, but Brendan just cannot take advantage of it, does not have the speed on the restarts that he needs. He ultimately is going to have to find a way, though. He's had the chances. He's going to have to execute as this race moves on.
Out in front, Ryan Blaney. And now a battle for the 2nd spot. Here comes Hornish Jr.
We can see he was up on that top side, getting a little bit of that extra grip, made a big run on the exit of the corner, a little loose down there. Jeff, we've seen this time and again, toughest spot for a driver to be in.
It's so difficult. I think turn 1 in Charlotte's one of the very worst places on being on the bottom. For whatever reason, the angle of entry into the corner is so hard to keep grip on the car.
But I like what I see here. This makes me excited for tomorrow's Cup race. Look at that 18 car, right side tires up into that sticky compound, put on the racetrack, making the middle lane work with success finally. Really the first car consistently using it now, both the first and the 2nd place cars up the racetrack.
And this is nighttime. We have consistently seen at night you have not been able to run multiple grooves. So tomorrow's race during the day, we should see them all over the racetrack.
And while that battle continues for 2nd, we drop back just a bit. Running in the 4th position is Alex Bowman in the 42. Marty?
And Rick, we've been talking playoffs. There's a couple drivers here tonight, though, that just care about the win, like Sam Hornish and Alex Bowman. And you'll see on the side of this race car, Vinoy Construction. We're all praying for the Vinoy family because Shane Vinoy passed away yesterday. He was instrumental in putting this deal together and sponsoring Alex Bowman in this race. He was only 45 years old and the son of Eddie Vinoy, who runs the construction company and a very good friend of Rick Hendricks. And it's especially tough because Eddie lost his first son, Jeremy, several years ago due to leukemia. He lost his wife in March, and then Shane passed away very unexpectedly just yesterday. We're all praying for the Vinoy family. I tell you what, Alex Bowman, though, giving that car a whale of a ride in his honor.
Alex Bowman up in the top 5. Again, just his first Xfinity Series start of the 2017 season. Blaney up front as we go NASCAR nonstop. You're watching the Drive for the Cure 300 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Out front, the 22 of Ryan Blaney. He has almost a second lead over Daniel Suarez, but a great battle that we have continued to talk about as we take a look at today's Toyota driver update. Suarez, LaJoie, J.J. Yaley, and Matt Tifft.
Caution's out, debris.
As the caution has come out, you just heard debris on the racetrack.
That is a big piece of debris.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost, is that like a radiator or something? That's huge. So, you're going to have to help me with that one, Steve.
You're going to have to try to. I don't know what it is, to be honest.
It looks like a box.
Yeah, it's a box of some sort. Where it came from, I don't know. It had to come out of somebody's damaged car.
And
oh, yeah, that's why I don't know why it is, because it didn't come out of a race car.
It's what indicates.
Yeah,
it's what indicates if you have a black flag. It came from the flag stand.
I feel better, Rick, because I thought, man, I haven't been out of the garage that long, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's the board that they'll post your number on. So if for whatever reason you're being penalized, they put your number on that board and give you the black flag, and it is normally attached to the flagman stand, and it just fell off.
Yeah, it's gone for sure.
It has been a crazy day here at Charlotte. The steps that Eric Jones hit earlier that were out on the track. Now the display board for if you get a black flag just falls from the flag stand. Things you would never expect to have happen have happened.
Well, listen, how fortunate, though, that no cars made contact with that, how it hasn't really changed the position of the cars on the racetrack. It has created a caution, but I didn't see any cars hit it, no damage. It shouldn't affect the playoff picture. But what has affected the playoff picture, Jeff, you and I were just talking about it. This top lane of Charlotte Motor Speedway has come in. The leaders have moved up to the second and third lane, and as soon as we saw that happen, Brendan Gaughan got by Ryan Reed and started to pull away a little bit. It seems like his kart, DJ, works much better up high on the racetrack.
Yeah, and when Brendan Gaughan got by him, then Brandon Jones also got by him. So now they are tied. The 62 and the 16 are tied for that cutoff spot.
And the 62 in the tiebreaker. 62 will get the nod because of a better finish in this round.
Yeah, and they're just being brought down pit road. They're not. This isn't pit stops or anything. The pace car is leading them down pit road here.
But with only
try to clean this up on the front straightaway.
With only 57 laps to go, that's inside the fuel window. Would anyone take advantage of coming to pit road now, or would you wait later and try to take a green flag pit stop when everybody knows they still have to come to pit road?
So, Rick, I think this is a major decision point as far as fuel. I don't think you're going to want to take your last set of tires because that would put you into a box. But, DJ, if you are Ryan Reed, Brendan Gaughan, how about Mike Lynette back in 18th? What do you have to lose? You're 10 points out. We haven't talked about him all night long. Maybe Mike Lynette comes down pit road, packs that thing full of Sunoco fuel. If it runs green to the finish, he can stay on the racetrack. In the last 5 laps, we could see the points completely flip.
Yeah, if I'm Mike Lynette, I'm coming in and putting tires on and putting fuel in, and I'm hoping it goes green to the end, and maybe I can make something happen. I mean, what do you have to lose? There's no way you're going to get in unless you try something like that.
Pit road is open. We'll see who decides to make the hard left turn, come on to pit road.
The difficult call, Steve. And what would you do if you're the 16 or the 62? Those guys racing each other, what's your call right there?
Well, if I'm Ryan Reed, I think that I can outrace Brendan Gaughan. That's the approach I would have to take. I would follow the 62. Not let him beat me on strategy. I would force him to beat me on the racetrack.
Yeah, 62 was driving so bad. I think they got to work on that thing somehow, some way.
Well, they just split. The 62 stayed on the racetrack, and the 16 hit pit road.
The 1 is also on pit road. Parker.
As you guys said, the 16 of Ryan Reed is going to come down pit road, only going to do fuel. They're not going to take that last set of tires. They're also going to make an adjustment in the right rear, as you saw there, because he was wrecking loose as they came at the end of that run, guys.
So is that a good call to not take tires now?
I don't know about that. We'll see. Normally you put tires or fuel in it. Kelly.
Yeah, and you see Matt Tiff there. They are opting to put on their last set of sticker tires. He also needed to be freed up just a little bit. And the 5 there you see of Mike Lynette also came. It was fuel only and a chassis adjustment for the 5.
I like that call. I like the call for fuel and not tires. And here's why. I think the fuel gives you the option to stay on the racetrack. And that's what the leaders don't have. You're going to beat them by not coming to pit road in extra time. But save your tires, because with 56 to go, if this run gets split up by a yellow, you have got to have tires, or these leaders are going to kill you. So I think that is the best bet. Come take fuel, not tires. Michael Lynette now has a chance. There's at least something. Before, I couldn't come up with a feasible way of how he was going to end up in the playoffs, but now I can. If this race runs green, man, this car should make up a ton of points in the last 5 or 7 laps as we see cars come to pit road for fuel.
This is going to be interesting, Jeff. My experience putting fuel in a car that was already loose and not putting fresh tires on it only made the car looser. So we'll have to see if Ryan Reed, if they made a big enough adjustment on that car for him to be able to drive it and be aggressive.
Great point, Dale Jarrett, because you put so much weight into the back of the car that the car gets looser. So we saw him making an adjustment, but you have to double or triple that adjustment because you're putting fuel in it.
Parker.
And guys, on the opposite side of the spectrum, as you mentioned, Brendan Gaughan staying out. His team was discussing if they would pit or not. It came down to the last second. His crew chief, Shane Wilson, made the call to stay out. And basically, the only thing they told him after that was a little bit of an update of what the 16 did, that he didn't take tires and he made an adjustment. This team is going to try and stick with the leader strategy.
Steve, as we're riding along with Brendan Gaughan, does it surprise you that he hadn't shut the car off at all? He's not trying to save any fuel.
Well, that tells me that they're so far outside their window that they don't feel there's any way they can make it. But I still think they should be taking, advantage of that opportunity. Who knows? We could have a reckless restart. We could end up with 15 more yellow flag laps. So a little surprising not to see the 62 coasting.
And remember, the reason the caution came out was debris on the racetrack. Well, it wasn't from a car. It was from that. The display board that was on, which amazingly didn't get hit, but the display board that was on top of the flag stand fell down onto the racetrack.
And then watch right here as it bounces. This is what really is. Look at the cars coming by.
Yeah.
Luckily, nobody hit that.
I think we said it a few weeks ago, Rick. You come here long enough, you're going to see things you never thought you'd see.
You'll
and once
see
again, we
everything.
see something we never thought we'd see.
They'll go 2x2 once again. Ryan Blaney and Daniel Suarez are going to make up row 1.
You know what's been interesting to me on these restarts is that the outside in row 2, that driver has not gotten a good restart all night long. I don't know why that is, but I want to watch the 2 of Austin Dillon because that spot has been a real trouble spot. Cars just have not gotten a good launch.
Guys, I believe this is the first time we've seen the race leader choose the outside line for the restart, too. Everybody has chosen the inside line up to this point. Marty.
If we go way back in the field, Rick, you'll see William Byron in that 9 car. He came to pit road. They are locked into the next round, so Dave Ellen said, why not? They, Steve, did take their tires this time and fuel to make it to the end, so they got the Sunoco fuel part set. They have the Goodyear tires on, so going to be interesting to see what kind of ground the 9 car can make up and what tires will mean. We're going to find out pretty quick.
Well, I can tell you to keep an eye out for the white and blue number 9 because tires are going to mean a lot. I would expect to see him 3 wide up top trying to get by the cars in front of him because just behind him, though, or excuse me, just in front of him is that 16 of Ryan Reed on the old tires, but has fuel. So now very important for Ryan Reed to understand the race he's in, which is, you know what, keep the fenders on this thing, try to get in line and see if maybe you can run Brendan Gaughan down, who's 6 or 7 spots in front of him.
2x2 once again. Coming out of turn 4, Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez. Blaney on the outside, Suarez on the inside as they come up on the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Blaney with a great restart. At least 2 car lengths already on Suarez and building. 3 wide now as they go down the backstretch into turn 3.
Watch them battle for these spots. What that restart there showed me is it's more about the control car. It doesn't make as much difference with the lane, it doesn't look like. It's who's in charge of that restart that's at the big advantage.
Brendan Gaughan, good restart. He's in 9th position. We've seen him struggle on restarts, but on that restart, he got done what he needed to get done. He's pulled away from Ryan Reed. Ryan Reed is all the way back in 20th right now.
Well, it's going to be tough for Ryan Reed as we go on board with the 16 car, that Lilly Diabetes on board. The issue is, as you mentioned, no new tires. So did they get the balance right for the fuel that's been added versus the old tires? DJ, you talk about how much different the car can drive. Well, we saw chassis adjustments, but did they match them up correctly? We're going to have to see as this run continues.
Well, you can hear as we ride along with Ryan Reed, he just cannot stay in the throttle at all. Really having to work the throttle. You would expect a driver in that position to be able to be in the gas and never have to come off of the gas on corner exit, but Ryan Reed just cannot do it, and he is falling all the way to 21st, 22nd right now.
Parker.
And guys, he just came across radio screaming about how loose he is in that 16 car. Just does not have the back end in the racetrack at all right now, especially on throttle, as you noted, Jeff, off the corner. Meanwhile, on the flip side of that is Brendan Gaughan, the 62 on the right side of your screen. Had a great restart there, and some of that might have been aided by restarting around that 33 car ahead of him of Brandon Jones, his teammate, who is known to be, knows that what position the 62 is in and is being respectful of what is happening with the 62, trying to just give him all the racetrack that he needs on those restarts to get the positions he needs.
I think it's worth talking about on the right side of the screen. Look at that 19 of Matt Tifft. You mentioned it, DJ. Lucky break. That tire rolled into the grass. That yellow came out. Saved perhaps another lap. Then they got that free pass. He has put himself back into the playoff picture.
As we were watching a little bit ago, Ryan Reed is having a little bit of trouble. Got really loose, but the 07 car, Ray Black Jr., he was sideways, got into the wall as well.
Yeah, the only thing about having one car in front of you taking the air off is having two cars there taking that air off the front of the car.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, Steve called it. It's been so much fun to watch William Byron restart at 19th. He's up to the 9th position. He's cut the field in half, and he has been dicing high, dicing low. Now he's about to move up to 8th to go around Daniel Hemrick. This is what you live for, Jeff, isn't it, as a driver? Those brand new tires, they make a difference when nobody else is taking on tires, right? So much fun as a driver to be out there with those fresh Goodyear tires.
Oh, brand new tires, only 47 laps to go. Oh, that's great, but you're hoping and praying there's not a caution comes out, because if the caution comes out, you're going to be in trouble. Everybody's going to come in and put tires, and you don't have them.
So William Byron making the move toward the front. He's up into the top 10, running 8th now. Ryan Blaney still has the lead as we go NASCAR nonstop. And the caution has come out once again. This is the 8th time that we have seen the caution. Fluid on the racetrack is what we're hearing from NASCAR. Possible fluid. A little bit of smoke coming out from Joey Gase in the 52.
This is really going to jumble up the field, Rick. I think all of those cars that you documented were coming up through the field on new tires. William Byron, Elliott Sadler, Matt Tifft. They're going to have to stay on the racetrack. They've used their last set of tires. There's no reason for them to come to pit road. But the leaders of Blaney, Suarez, Hornish Jr., Dillon, Bowman, all of those cars will need to come get their last set of tires and have about 15 or so fresher, 15 or so green flag lap fresher tires. So we'll see how quickly they can come back through the field.
Yeah, I think the one that'll have to be careful in that situation, staying out there, will be Matt Tifft. He's got himself in a really good spot, but out there trying to race up front around others that have fresher tires, don't do anything that could take yourself out of this position now.
Yeah, the struggle is without another set, I'm not sure he has an option.
No,
I
he doesn't.
completely agree. He has to race a
little
bit with mittens on here in this situation.
So the caution has come out once again. It's the 8th time. NASCAR on NBCSN. is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less on the track and on the road. And the spotters have been very busy this race, as there has been quite a bit of jockeying for position, especially by that driver, Brennan Gaughan, fighting for a spot in the round of 8. And he's been fighting very valiantly as he's in the top 15. Behind him and dropping back has been Ryan Reed. Ryan Reed all the way back into 22nd now. The last time he was on pit road, they put fuel in the car, but they didn't put Goodyear tires on.
Yeah, and although the odds do not look good, make note that Blake Cook was at once 2 laps down. Well, with that caution, he got the free pass, and he is now back in the lead lap. So he has a lot of ground to make up, but he's back in the game.
And anything can happen, as we have seen here today. Under 39 laps to go, pit road is open. And so with this caution and the number of laps remaining, we would anticipate everyone that has tires still to make their way to pit road, get those fresh tires, and top it off with fuel. We know they can go about 65 laps, so that won't be a factor anymore as far as fuel mileage. Ryan Blaney leading them on to pit road. Parker.
Hey guys, Brennan Gaughan will pit out of 14th. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel, and the same adjustments they made before. He said this car is getting better and better. Meanwhile, Ryan Reed, who he's racing against, is a 12 out of 10 loose. That is correct, a 12 out of 10 loose. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel in that car. Kelly?
Matt Tiff coming back to pit road. They're changing his Goodyear tires, but they're putting on scuffs, and these are the scuffs. Excuse me, these are the scuffs that he had when he had the bad vibrations, so they were a little bit hesitant to go to him, but they made the call to do it. Marty?
And Kelly, problems for Daniel Suarez on pit road. They did not have the right rear tight when they put the jack down. You see them trying to correct that now. He is going to start at the very back of the field when this restart does happen. An extremely long stop for this 18 car.
Definitely can't make mistakes if you want to win, and that was a huge mistake for Suarez. And over at the ZMAX Dragway, which is just about 400 or 500 yards away, Brad Paisley put on a concert for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And because of Jr. making his final start at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a great concert and a great tribute to the most popular driver in NASCAR for the past 14 seasons. As this race continues on with under 37 laps to go, William Byron may have just fallen into an impressive situation.
Well, he's going to be the leader, and he was fast on those tires, and he's got quite a bit of quite a few cars in between him and Ryan Blaney, who's quick. So we'll see how that works out. Suarez with their unfortunate pit stop whenever they had a problem with an air hose there. Probably cost him any chance at a win now, but things have really shaken up as Michael Annett has stayed out there, and so we've got a lot of things that are going to transpire here in these last 35 laps.
Marty.
Rick, let me show you what happened on Daniel Suarez's stop, actually. When the rear tire change went back around, the hose actually got caught behind the wheel when he put it on and was on the rear caliper. You can see where it got heated up, where it was on that caliper and heated up. So they couldn't get that right rear tire tight. So the front tire changer had to change all 4 tires on Daniel Suarez's stop. That's what happened. This actually got caught behind the wheel and on that brake caliper. Crazy. I've never seen that happen on pit road before.
I want to take a look at the Polaris lap leaders. Daniel Suarez was at the top of this list, but as we just heard, because of that pit stop, he will not be running up front when the green flag comes back out. Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, Ty Dillon, and William Byron have all been out front. Now it's Byron's turn to see if he can add to that number.
You guys were talking about it, you know, with only 13 laps on his tires are important. So I would expect William Byron to kind of get out there to a lead. The real question is how quickly can Ryan Blaney back there in 7th, Austin Dillon, Sam Cornish Jr., the cars with fresh tires, can they get through traffic? I think that's really what it's all about. I mean, in my mind, Jeff, if the 22 or perhaps the 2 don't have a great restart and get clear of traffic, the 9 might have a chance to get out to a big enough lead.
Well, the big key is how many cars are between William Byron, Elliott Sadler, and Blaney and Austin Dillon. So there you can see there's, you know, he's got to go through 6 or 7 cars to get to the lead if you're Blaney. So really, William Byron's got to get a great launch right here, or Elliott Sadler get a great launch, get the lead, and then hope those guys hold him up on new tires.
Hey guys, just behind him is the 5 of Michael Annett. Let's listen into his radio.
It's going to be a really good call by half or a really bad one, but we had to do something, you know? Yep, 10-4, I agree.
I like it. I like the gamble. You know, he said, hey, we have to do something different. We haven't outrun the 62 or the 16. He left them on the racetrack. He had just put tires on 13 laps ago. See if they can somehow get a little lucky, get a little fortunate, keep this track position. You see on the left side of your screen, currently in to the next round by 3 points. Can they hold that position?
Yeah, they had a chance to do the same strategy that William Byron did, putting tires on and getting in the front earlier, but they chose not to do that.
William Byron, Elliott Sadler making up row 1. 34 laps to go.
Well, great job by Elliott Sadler there, anticipating that, doing a good job. Byron's still going to go by on the outside, though.
Elliott Sadler not able to stay at the bottom of the racetrack. He slides all the way up and back to 3rd as William Byron has the lead, and right behind him it's Ty Dillon now in 2nd.
So we were just talking about that 5-car, Rick. So basically what he's done, I want to clear that up. He has an extra set of tires.
Oh, around goes the 5. Michael Annett sliding sideways.
That extra set of tires I was talking about, Rick, he's going to need them now.
Caution.
Oh, yeah, try and get a fire if you can.
Still has not come out as he's turning back around. Smoke inside the cockpit.
We got flat right front here, James.
And no caution. They're still going.
They continue to race.
So listen, the winner on that restart was Austin Dillon in this 3-car right here. He was able to get in front of Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney. So now he is leader of the pack with 4 new tires.
That did not work out for Michael Annett. Byron, Sadler, Dillon, Bowman, and Alex Dillon, or excuse me, Austin Dillon up to 5th.
Oh, just could not keep the car in the 3-car. You saw the 3-car of Ty Dillon and the 2 of Austin Dillon, 3 way up the racetrack.
Yeah, these guys battled for the lead. The 16 and the 62 have found themselves right together again. This is going to come down to possibly the last lap. Ryan Reed's made some adjustments. He's able to get by Brendan Gaughan right now.
Here comes the 42. Trying to take the lead away. Alex Bowman on the inside. The amazing thing about what the 42 is doing, he hasn't started a race in almost a year. Alex Bowman up to the front now. Bowman leading at Charlotte.
Yeah, he made some nice moves on that restart to get himself positioned properly. The precious tires, you can see they're taking advantage right now as Ryan Blaney's able to come in the second. We'll see if Bowman's able to hold him off.
Nose to tail on the right side of the screen between Ryan Reed and Brendan Gaughan. And again, those two separated by 3 points for that final position in the round of 8. Marty.
And guys, Eric Jones now on pit road with all this crazy racing going on the racetrack, but they think they have a flat tire. They're also going to check the battery here. There was smoke that came out of the car a moment ago, and they came on the radio and said, I think we're done for the night, but a flat tire and also possibly an electrical issue for Eric Jones.
They continue to look at the 20 as Alex Bowman trying to stretch out the lead that he has over Ryan Blaney. Blaney trying to go back-to-back as far as Xfinity Series wins. Let's take another look at what happened to Michael Annett and the 5 as we see the 62 trying to take the position away from Ryan Reed.
You see the 5 car just backing up a little bit. The 22 got into the back of him. Now he's 3 wide. Got it straightened back out, but you can see they're just splitting him so much faster than he is on those old tires. Right there. Essentially 4 wide contact with the 0-1. Harrison Rhodes, and around he goes.
Yeah, they choose that strategy to try to stay out on old tires to figure maybe we'll get lucky and get a late caution and put those new tires on, but spinning out cost them a lot. And then with no yellow, because basically he spun right to the entrance of pit road, NASCAR left the track under green flag.
He was able to turn around and get onto pit road right away, and so the caution never came out, and racing continues. Under 27 laps to go. Parker.
Hey guys, as we watch Brennan Gaughan trying to get past Ryan Reed, this is not the first time that he's raced against a Reed before. Actually, many years ago, Brennan Gaughan was racing the K&N West Series and raced against Ryan's dad, Mark Reed, for the championship. He ended up beating him, but there's no love lost between these two families. And he told me before this race he would really like to beat this younger Reed like he did the older one.
Well, once again, he gets to his back bumper, but what can he do? Can he get by? He has struggled to get past the 16 all night.
Well, here's what he needs to do. Stay in those tire tracks if he can. You can see he can make a nice run. But Brendan's best, most speed that he's been able to make is up there where Ryan Reed is running right now. Run up there, try to get this bumper, see if you can get that 16 loosened up a little bit where you can get by, and then try to go get a couple more cars.
Again, fighting for a position in the next round, the round of 8. These two separated by 3 points. Every position on the racetrack is a point. On the right, Ryan Blaney has closed the gap now on Alex Bowman. It's under 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, don't count Sam Hornish out there in that 3rd spot.
He has been very strong all night as well. Bowman, Blaney, and Hornish fighting for the lead as we go NASCAR nonstop. You've been watching it on NASCAR Nonstop, the battle for the cut line. The driver that gets into the top 8, the round of 8, and right now it's Ryan Reed, but with a wiggle, he went up the racetrack. The 62 was able to get by, and now it's 1 point that separate the 62 and the 16.
And that 1 point, I don't think is going to last very long, because I think the 62 will get by the 9. Remember, he's on older tires. We thought perhaps he had a chance to win this race, but tires have been so valuable. He fell instantly on the restart, and you see up there, car wiggling back and forth, just trying to find a way to get the power down, Jeff.
If he can get by the 9, now the 16 making a run on the 62.
Every time we've seen the 62 go down low, he loses track position. When he stays up high, he's able to keep it up.
Oh, William,
big wiggle.
loose. Ryan's going to have a big run. What do? Do you make it 3 wide? Do you push the 9? 3 wide.
Three wide through the middle. Here comes Ryan Reed.
3 wide.
Not able to keep it going, and Brennan Gaughan stays in front of him.
Yeah, but Ryan's going to look for the crossover move. I thought the 62 was going to slide up through the groove, but he didn't do it. He held him behind him.
Well, that was big right there for Ryan Reed, because essentially they both passed the 9 car, so there was no change in points. What an aggressive move. Dale, that decision, you and I know you were looking at it, I was looking at it thinking, what do you do? Do you go 3 wide? Do you follow him?
Wow, that was incredible. But I tell you what, Brendan Gaughan showed me something there driving off into turn 3. He wasn't going to give that spot up either. What a great move by Ryan Reed, understanding the situation and knowing that he had to make that pass right then.
Now it's all about communication, Rick. Now the crew chiefs need to let Brendan Gaughan know we are not good enough. We need another spot. The spot in front of you is way out. It's Daniel Suarez. He's almost 3 seconds in front of you. You have to try to find some grip. But more importantly, if you're the crew chief for the 16, as we take another replay of this great 3-wide move.
Middle 3, still middle.
The crew chief, the 16, Phil Gold right now, he has got to let Ryan Reed know not to panic, because you're in. You're in by a point, but you can't lose another position.
And a word of note, if these two were to tie, the tiebreaker goes to Brendan Gaughan. He owns the tiebreaker.
Parker.
Exactly, Jeff, and bad news for the 16 of Ryan Reed. He's getting loose again. Remember, that's what he's fought the last 2 runs, getting far too loose in that 16 car, and he loses a lot of pace when that happens. He's right now trying to do all he can to find a lane that doesn't let that 16 car get too loose and lose touch in the 62.
The 99 of David Starr that we just saw the 62 go by, not on the same lap, so that was not a pass for position.
Yeah, and here's something. The one thing that Brendan Gaughan has is fresher tires than the 1 car of Elliott Sadler, which is the next car in front of him. He's been running 1.5 to 2 tenths quicker than the 1 car, Sadler, with those older tires, just like the 9 car of William Byron. So that's the car that Gaughan has to go get, is Elliott Sadler.
And so look behind this battle, the 33 of Brandon Jones. He has been gaining on this battle. He's caught William Byron. Can he get by William Byron and then go run up and get the 16? That would be that point that Brendan Gaughan needs.
Yeah, that's a teammate of Brendan Gaughan's right there, so that works perfectly.
And he's trying to get him. And that's the 33 trying to get by the 16. But right now the 33 still trying to get by William Byron in the 9. But Byron making it very difficult for him.
Yeah, we're focusing on this battle because Alex Bowman in the 42 has stretched his lead over Sam Hornish Jr. to almost 3 seconds.
And we can't forget about that story either. Alex Bowman hasn't been behind the wheel of a car on a racetrack for over a year, and he's going to be taking over for the 88. We had just mentioned how Dale Earnhardt Jr. celebrating his final start at Charlotte by being over at the Brad Paisley concert. But Alex Bowman is going to take over the 88 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2018. He's out front of this field. But a great battle as we see the 4 of Ross Chastain get into the wall.
The wall saved him.
Yeah, now Brandon Jones in the 33 trying to reel in the 16. If Brandon Jones in the 33 can get by the 16, that will put the 16 and the 62 tied in points. If they are tied in points, the tiebreaker goes to the 62 for the better finish in this round.
And I'm telling you, Brendan Gaughan continues to run down the 1 car of Elliott Sadler, so he can take care of this situation himself by getting to Elliott Sadler here in these next 9 laps.
He has closed the gap.
We just saw the 4 car Ross Chastain sideways and in the wall, but what a good run for him. We saw how aggressive he was on the restart, running in 15th position. in front of Ty Dillon, right behind William Byron. Really good run for that team.
Brendan Gaughan about 2 seconds now behind Elliott Sadler. As he's trying to close the gap and get by the one, that would give him that 1 point. The 1 point that he needs to advance into the round of 8. Ryan Reed trying to stay in front of the 33. That's the 1 point that he needs to stay in front of the 62.
And the 33, DJ, you keep saying it. Yeah. The 33 is putting lap after lap after lap together, 2, 3, 4 tenths of a second. And with 8 laps to go, I'm just not sure Ryan Reed has the car to hold him off.
Yeah, I agree. Brandon Jones is coming at a high rate of speed right here.
Marty.
Rick, we're going to keep watching this battle for the final cut line here in the playoffs, but as we try to get to round 2, William Byron, though, back in 14th. We talked about his run through the field, has now said twice on the radio he thinks he has a right rear going down or a right rear tire rub. We're going to keep an eye on that 9 as you guys keep an eye on this last transfer spot to round 2.
This right here is what I think makes the 33 so dangerous, is he can
will
still
be
run.
tied, and I think we should win the tiebreaker.
He can run the bottom of the racetrack, so while the 16 is kind of stuck up top, the 33 looks like he can run about a groove lower right here and get through the corner pretty well.
If he makes the pass, that puts the 62 and the 16 tied in points. The 62 continuing to try to run down the 1 of Elliott Sadler. Now the gap between those two, 1.5 seconds. Under 6 laps to go.
So we just heard a radio transaction from the 16 car, and he was told that even if 33 goes by him, they get the tiebreaker. We don't think that's correct. We think Brendan Gaughan gets the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think this finish tonight will give him the tiebreaker that he needs.
Parker.
Hey guys, and just a quick update in the 16 as the 33 gets below him. He just came across radio saying that car was better than before. It was coming to him. Some of that loose was getting out of the race car. He was actually flipping some of his fans inside the race car and making it better. So they seem to think they're going the right direction and be able to hold off that 33.
And right there, the 33 tried to make the pass going to the inside of the 16, lost an incredible amount of ground. And so now under 4 laps to go to try to get by the 16 is Brandon Jones. And while all that is happening, just in front of them, Brendan Gaughan is now 1 second behind the 1. You see the gap there between the 1 and the 62.
Yeah, this is what it's all about right there. The 16 needs to stay in the spot that he is in as long as the 62 doesn't pass the 1.
The battle to see who will advance to the round of 8. Under 3 laps to go. Alex Bowman.
You can see Brendan Gaughan really trying to chase that. Got up a little bit high. Sorry to interrupt you there, Rick, but it looked like it might have cost him a little time on the exit of turn 2 there.
The reason we mentioned that Brendan Gaughan would have the tiebreaker, you go back to the finishes in this round. Both of them have a 10th place finish.
We won't get the tiebreaker. We have to hold this 33 off.
There you go. Brendan Gaughan has a 14th place finish, and Ryan Reed has a 16th place finish. So Brendan Gaughan would get the advantage if he is able to hang on and potentially get to the tie in points. On the right side of your screen, with 1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank, Alex Bowman looking for his first win of the season in the Xfinity Series. Potentially looking for his first career win in the Xfinity Series as well, and this is his 51st start. Alex Bowman, the 24-year-old from Tucson, Arizona, will take over for Dale Jr., but right now he wins in Charlotte.
Thank you guys so much. I can't thank you guys enough.
The battle for the transfer position. Who will make it into the round of 8? Right now, Ryan Reed has it. If he holds on to the position, and he will, Ryan Reed is going to advance into the round of 8.
By 1 spot.
That is how you dig deep.
How about Alex Bowman, Rick? Now, Alex Bowman been sitting on the bench, not driving, doing anything. First run out in forever, gets the win.
Alex Bowman, what an impressive run he was able to put on today after a long delay.
Hasn't run these Xfinity cars all year. I mean, that just shows the amount of talent this young man has. You know, Rick Hendrick understood what he did last year, coming in there subbing for Dale Jr. Some really good runs, giving this young man a chance. Now that Dale Jr. is going to retire, it was obviously the right choice.
Dale Jr. was 100% behind Alex Bowman as far as the replacement for him in the 88 car. Hendrick Motorsports as the smoke rolling from the finish line. What a performance by Alex Bowman. He led 32 laps, but he led the most important lap, the last one. And again, we applaud the crowd that was able to stick around today. This race was supposed to start at 3 o'clock, and of course it didn't start until just after 8 o'clock. But right now, Alex Bowman is going to celebrate. We go to Marty.
That is the way to come back to the racetrack, Rick. Welcome back. That's a way to make a re-entrance right there. After being out of the car for almost a year, I got to know the emotion in the final few laps. Did it seem surreal?
Absolutely. I kept thinking a caution was going to come out. You know, just can't thank Mr. Hendrick and Chip Ganassi for letting me drive this car enough. It means so much. We got Vinoy Construction here on the quarter panel, and Shane Vinoy passed away Friday night, so definitely in memory of him. To get my first win here in my second home of Charlotte means so much. Thank you so much to all the fans for sticking out this rain delay. Man, HendrickCars.com, CGR, Mike, everybody, this whole 42 team. It's been a long time since I've raced. I was terrible on pit stops. I didn't do a good job on pit road, but I felt like my restarts were really good, and it feels amazing to finally get us one.
We echo those sentiments. Thank you, these fans who stayed out here. Alex Bowman celebrating on the front stretch with these fans. We'll see him in victory lane in just a moment. He's going to go grab the flag first. But, Rick, imagine the week for this young man. They unveiled his 88 car, which he's going to be in, replacing Dale Earnhardt Jr. next year, and he wins his first ever Xfinity Series race, all within the span of 3 days.
Coming into this race, the best finish Alex Bowman had ever had in an Xfinity Series race was third. And then, as DJ, you mentioned earlier, and you see the 62 and the 16, Brennan Gaughan, Ryan Reed. What an amazing finish for those two. Kelly.
Yeah, you go from the joy of victory and to the agony of defeat for you, Brendan. So close. What was it like out there battling the guy that you had to beat to get that playoff spot?
Look, there's a reason why we're close in points. We've been close all year on the racetrack. You know, it came down to it. Ty came and took those tires early, and when I saw him fade quick, I knew that was trouble because he'd been right in between us all night long, and when he faded, I knew that was a little trouble, and we were faster than him, but unfortunately weren't fast enough to get anybody else. We were getting the one, and we needed Brandon maybe to get in front of him, but hey, good run. You know, we've had a decent season. I wouldn't say great, but we're going to go on and see if we can't win a couple races with the South Point Chevy.
You've talked about how much you enjoyed pressure. Talk about the moments there, the pressure, the passes that you had to make.
No, that's fun, especially the start of the race where we had a bad set of tires. So the first set we went back to, what, like 25th or 28th or something, holding on for dear life. So nothing ever comes easy around me and Shane Wilson, but we wouldn't want it any other way.
Well, they gave it a heck of an effort. Came up just 1 point short, Parker.
Right, Kelly, and the guy who beat him for that 1 point is this guy, Ryan Reed. He finished 12th, but that's not what matters. You make it in the next round of the playoffs. Talk about racing Brennan Gaughan, that 62 car, throughout this race, and especially there at the end.
Yeah, it was so fun. I told him right after the race there, just thanks for racing me clean, because he restarted on a bumper quite a few times and could have just ended our night early and went on his way, but that was so fun. Stressful. I mean, at points of the night, I thought we were done. Like, there's no way we can make up this deficit. But, I mean, that 16 group, those Lilly Diabetes guys, just, I mean, they don't quit. So proud of Phil and all the guys, and her, my spotter up top, for keeping me calm, because there was points in the race where I was not. So up and down night for sure, and we're going to have to find more speed going into the round of 8, but we're in the round of 8. And so that's what matters tonight, and thanks to Xfinity and Lilly Diabetes, Ford, Roush Fenway, everyone who supports this deal to help us get to the racetrack and make these dreams possible. And, you know, it feels so good to be a kid with type 1 diabetes. Just thought I wouldn't even be racing, and now I'm competing for a championship in the Xfinity Series. It's so fun.
And what's it going to take to be better in the round of 8 to be able to compete there? I heard you talk after the race about that. What do you need out of the 16 car to go compete?
You know, I don't know that it's necessarily one thing. You know, I think we're going to have to dig deep, and I think the cool thing about where Roush Fenway is right now is we're kind of the underdogs. We know we got to get better both on the Cup and the Xfinity side, so I'm hoping that we can go to work, find some stuff just for overall speed. You know, I don't think it's one necessary balance thing that we're fighting. I think we just got to find overall speed, and I think we got the group of guys to do it.
A lot of things for this team to work on, but they are going to the round of 8, guys.
Start of the season, Ryan Reed won at Daytona. Now the big winner tonight is he will end up into the round of 8, still with a chance at the championship. But a big night for Alex Bowman. Best finish at Charlotte before tonight, 12th. Tonight, he's in victory lane. It has been a very big week for Alex Bowman. On Thursday, the unveil of the 88 car with Alex Bowman's name above the door, and on the windshield, he'll be taking over for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2018. And then the tradition continues. Alex Bowman just signed the checkered flag and gave it to a young fan in the crowd. And so she was able to wave the checkered flag. What a memento of this race. Dave.
And of course, another great tradition when you're a Hendrick Motorsports driver is that phone being handed to you. What did Mr. H have to say just then?
Just pretty proud of everything that we've accomplished, and I can't thank him enough for everything he's done for my career. You know, I went from driving really small, low-budget teams and learning what I could and just trying as hard as I can. And to be driving for Hendrick Motorsports next year is going to be so much fun. But I can't thank Chip and everybody for letting me drive this 42 car. Mike and everybody brought a great piece, and always great to have Hendrick horsepower under the hood. Vinoy Construction, a huge loss for them last Friday night with Shane passing away. So special for them. It's my grandma's birthday Sunday, so that's really big. She's here in the stand somewhere. So I'm just excited. I'm ready to go celebrate. It's always great to get a phone call from the boss after winning.
And he had you cracking up. What was he telling you?
Well, he likes to compare me to Tim Richmond, and he knows like Tim Richmond's like my hero. So it's always special to hear the comparisons there. And I think he's just joking with most of it, but I just can't thank him enough for letting me drive these race cars.
You made a lot of folks happy tonight over at Hendrick and over at Ganassi, and then a little girl at the end. You kind of continued that tradition of handing off the checkered flag.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got I don't have any checkered flags from winning Xfinity races, but have a whole bunch from other stuff. So hopefully that made somebody's night. And just can't thank HendrickCars.com, Vinoy Construction, everybody on this Chip Ganassi racing team, as well as Exalta and Nationwide for letting me do this and drive this race car this year, and I'm ready to go for next year.
Newest example of paying it forward. Alex Bowman in victory lane and handing out the hardware.
So Rick Hendrick called him, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. tweeted about him. That Alex Bowman can wheel. Pure talent. Can't wait to watch him do amazing things next year in the Nationwide 88s. Take a look at the playoff leaderboard. By the way, that comparison to Tim Richmond actually got his first Xfinity Series win here in May of 1985. So pretty good comparison there as we look at the round of 8 now. The drivers, once the points are reset at 3,000 and the playoff points added, they will have a week to think about it because they're not racing at Talladega next week. Their next race will be at Kansas in 2 weeks. And we talked about what a run Matt Tifft had as far as a big gamble and the luck falling his way. He's standing by with Kelly.
Matt Tifft comes away with a top 10 finish and advances easily in the end to the next round of the playoffs. But man, there were some harrowing moments there with the vibration. What was going through your mind at that point during the race?
A lot of words I can't say on TV. Man, it's that was a fight today. You know, we've had some races go like this year, and we haven't been able to put ourselves in a position to get back. So I got to tip my hat to Matt Beck, my crew chief. He just made some really good calls there, getting us rubber when we needed it, and got this Motor Red Camry back where it needed to be. So we got the car better and better. We started off struggling in the night. So, man, this is a good team effort for sure and a good fight to get another top 10 out of this deal.
Yeah, after the vibration, then there was the mistake on pit road. How confident were you at that point that you could get back to where you needed to be?
I knew I was going to have to get up on the wheel and go get stuff done. So, you know, I knew we'd have some cushion with the next round, but I wanted to make sure we got another top 10 out of this deal. And you know, we've been able to do that lately, and I just want to make sure we keep on getting that momentum rolling. So today was a fight, and the whole rest of the year is going to be too.
All right, 9th place finish today for Matt Tifft.
Elliott Sadler finishes 10th, but it was not a simple race for you guys. I mean, you had a little damage there after that restart. You repaired that, got up front, had some clean track position, and then sort of faded there at the end. But my God, what a comeback.
Man, I felt like I was at Martinsville for a little while. It was crazy. You know, I made a mistake there on the bottom and got tight and got in the pool, boy. And then we had some, I think the 12 missed a shift and run in the back of whoever's in front of me, and somebody ran in the back of me. And anyway, One Main Financial Chevy was good. I appreciate the guys working on the car, battling back, and we had to take a chance. Kevin was trying to get us 5 points, so we went in and took tires, and if it had went green, 9 and I would have had a great run for the win, but it killed us with that caution coming out. But all in all, we make it to the next stage. We got some good tracks coming up for us, and we'll take some of this momentum with us.
You have the momentum. You've been the most consistent car all year, but you lack victory lane. What is it going to take?
Well, we know we're going to have to win a race to win this championship, and probably, you know, when we get to Homestead. So we just got to stay consistent, stay in the middle of this thing. The guys made some good adjustments tonight, but we had to take that chance. We had better than a 10th place car tonight. We should have finished, you know, 5th or 4th, 5th or 6th, but taking that chance and not having tires at the end hurt us a little bit. But we had to do what we needed to do to try to get a victory.
Elliott Sadler and this one team taking chances. That's what this format's all about.
Michael Annette's playoff run came to an end tonight. Michael, you knew you had some ground to make up. Said you might try strategy. That's exactly what you did. Didn't quite pay off, but how do you sum up the night for you?
We struggled all night a little bit. We were kind of stuck right there around the guys. You know, you and I talked about we're always kind of glued around each other, and that was the case, and that wasn't going to be enough for us to move on to the next round. So we had to do something to try to get a ton of points. Kind of knew that was coming, spun the tires a little bit on the restart, and I knew I didn't have a chance, you know, getting down in the corner. So at least we didn't completely tear the car up, but you know, not the night we needed to have or wanted to have.
A tough way to end the playoff run for Michael Annette and this 5 team.
Well, to say it was a struggle for Blake Cook tonight is an understatement. Explain just a little bit of what you were going through after that power steering pump failed.
Yeah, I mean, the power steering just went out around lap 15. Went into turn 1, lost it completely. Thought I was in a wreck, and then we came down pit road trying to fix it. But, man, we didn't want to quit. You know, we have a pink race car this weekend for breast cancer awareness. None of those breast cancer survivors quit. So we just wanted to stay after it, turn it into a new game, and that was just try to save as much fuel as we could, have strategy, get wave rounds, and we got ourselves back on a lead lap before that last restart. But, man, just proud of my lead filter team for just keeping their heads up. It's a tough situation to stay positive in, and we were able to stay positive. Still got 4 races left this year. Still can fight for 5th place on back for points. So we're not giving up, that's for sure.
How are your arms?
My arms are tired, but, man, I work out.
Can you lift anything?
Not right this second, but I work out really, really hard. My trainer, Alden, has me on a program, and this kind of deal paid off because I was able to muscle through the entire race. So it was tough, but we didn't quit.
You lead the playoffs now. You have the rest of the year to work on the 11 car. So what are the emotions with that?
Yeah, we're just going to keep working as hard as we can. You know, tonight was a part failure. It was nothing my guys did, nothing that was oversaw or anything like that. It was just a part failure, and that stuff happens. So just proud of my Colleague Racing team. And like I said, Leaf Filter gutter protection just for sponsoring our entire season. You know, you don't see that many sponsors that come in and sponsor all 33 races, and Leaf Filter has done that for us, so we're very thankful for them.
And I had Blake on the radio tonight, so I can tell you he was trying to keep his team pumped up and positive, even in this situation.
Jeremy Clements finishes 20th and does not make it to the round of 8. But Jeremy, what a Cinderella story just to be a part of the playoffs this year. Talk about getting that win at the road course and just being a part of the playoffs.
Well, that was a great day, but today sucked. The past 2 weeks sucked. It's just been a hard day. Our cars have not handled good at all, and it shows. I mean, 20th, 21st, 22nd, I think, past 3 races, so it's pretty disheartening. We've been behind the whole year with the rule change, taking downforce away, and just running the old cars, it's just not working. So hopefully we can figure something out. But I want to thank repairablevehicles.com and Chevrolet for all the help they have. And, you know, we're going to try like hell the rest of the races and see what happens. But we gave it all we had, just come up short.
And what did it mean for this race team? What did it do for this race team, maybe from extra help, sponsorship-wise, being a part of the playoffs like you guys were?
Well, it was definitely good. But, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it didn't really give us the extra boost we needed, but Brad from repairablevehicles.com stepped up and, you know, bought all the tires that we needed each race, so that was definitely a help, and I want to thank Brad for that. But yeah, we just need some more help to buy better stuff and make this program even better. But it's just frustrating. I want to run better, but you can't make up but so much of these mile and a halves in Dover last week. I mean, the cars just got to be better. So just frustrated, but a lot of racing left, and should be exciting to see how the guys in the playoffs finish, and I was proud to be a part of it. Appreciate everything XFINITY does for the sport. Catch everything on XFINITY X1 the rest of the season.
Jeremy Clements and his family-owned race team will continue to work to improve.
And for more interviews from this Xfinity Series race, you can go to NBCSports.com. The celebration will continue in Victory Lane for Alex Bowman tomorrow. It starts with NASCAR America, the pre-race show at 11 a.m. on NBCSN, then on NBC. Countdown to green. And racing from here at Charlotte, and again on NBC. Will be at 1 o'clock. Remember, that's a change in time. 1 o'clock for the start of the race tomorrow. Post-race coverage continuing on NBC at 5 o'clock, and then Victory Lap to wrap things up on NBCSN at 6. So Alex Bowman in Victory Lane for the first time in the Xfinity Series. Coming up next on NBCSN, it's Mecum Auto Auctions from Chicago. Thanks for joining us.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.